Jonathan Taylor, there he goes again. 50, 40, down the far sideline. He might do it again. 10, 5, touchdown. I-N-D-Y.
The Eastern Conference Championship has been captured by the Indiana Pacers.
Daly throws a quest. He wins the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race.
This is the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen and James Boyd.
A good Wednesday morning to you out there. Thank you for starting your day with us. That would be Kevin Bowen, myself, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton. A couple things on the sports docket for today. We'll get our second World Cup semifinal, Argentina and England. Again, that's 3 o'clock, just like yesterday's kick. 3 o'clock today from Atlanta. If you want to dabble in Pacers Summer League, if you're a Purdue fan that might have some Pacers interest, Trey Kaufman-Renn and the Minnesota Timberwolves opposite the Pacers. That's 3:30 today. And really on paper, a nice matchup. We'll see about the health of Gabby Williams, Golden State's leading scorer for tonight. But Fever and Valkyries inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse. First home game in a while for Stephanie White and company. It's a 4-game homestand before they hit the All-Star break. And for their sake, let's hope their All-Star game is better than the one last night.
Not a fan of it, KB?
I turned it off.
Did the NL just strike out again?
It got to the 7th inning. I'm like, I think I'm going to bed. I don't think this is going to happen.
I don't blame you whatsoever. A shutout, AL 4-0 last night there, and first shutout since 2013. So I don't know how many people cared about the Major League Baseball All-Star game, but if you didn't care, consider yourself lucky.
I'll say the Sandlot intro was cool.
I kind of like the I like them little like Declaration of Independence style, putting their names in the lineup card. Outside of that, I thought to myself, I hope Tampa Bay Rays fans are okay and Junior Camanero's okay after the hit by pitch.
Yeah, that's not ideal. What we want to see from a star player on the All-Star game.
No, definitely not. We'll certainly touch on the Colts. It was a busy Colts topic, I thought, yesterday on our show, and we'll continue to keep that conversation going here on this Wednesday morning. And I do feel, honestly, in all seriousness, for someone here on this Wednesday, I want to get started here because, a few weeks back, I wasn't sure if we would actually dabble down this road, but, we had someone that had missed out on winning some competitions we have done on the show, and so someone wanted to start a competition to draft World Cup teams. This individual thought it was a good idea, to be honest with you, and the individual also somehow came up with the draft order. Originally thought we were just picking the championship winner of the World Cup, so somehow got the first pick in said draft order, which is funny kind of how all that worked out. Ended up drafting a French squad, a unbeatable French squad. I was told that their second team would have made the quarterfinals here in the World Cup. And yesterday, for those that work real jobs, they missed the French team bowing out yesterday afternoon in Dallas. Frankly, I thought they got outplayed pretty significantly by the Spaniards. That would be James Boyd's Spain team ousting the French squad of Mark Dykton 2-0 yesterday. So once again, some sort of drafted competition has occurred on the Fan Morning Show. And behind the glass, he's weeping.
I'm doing my best mime impression right now, trying not to speak. That was very disappointing. That was, yeah, you weren't kidding. They were outclassed, outplayed. Mbappe didn't look like himself. And, yeah, the Spaniards had France on their heels the majority of that game. And
what time should I bring over the buff chick dip for the third place game on Saturday?
Oh my gosh.
Let me know.
You and this hatred of the third place game has to
I want to
stop.
make sure Mbappe's fully healthy for the third place game on Saturday.
Now, they do get a healthy money deposit, if I'm not mistaken. There is some monetary value to the third place game.
It was funny. I'm watching the match yesterday, and, again, I didn't know a ton about Spain. I think in recent World Cups, they had a great generation there. I can think of Xavi and Iniesta, and boy, I'm going way back, but like Fernando Torres. But Mark, they said on the broadcast right before the first goal, they're like, yeah, Spain hasn't lost in 37 straight matches. I'm like, that's absurd.
I know.
And again, France has been great. Like, nothing against the run that obviously the French team has been on, but it's like we almost kind of treated Spain a little bit here. And, again, my hand is raised. We almost treated Spain like they were some, 4 seed in the NCAA tournament that made the Final Four. It's like, no, they're a pretty quality 1 seed. They're just in the other region. We haven't paid a lot of attention to the other region.
They just don't have probably the star power of some of the, like a Messi or an Mbappe or a Haaland. So that's why I think they've kind of gone under the radar.
Boy, they've been dominant. They've given up 1 goal, I think, throughout the entire World Cup. And that 1 goal wasn't yesterday, as you can allude to, Mark. But I felt pretty good praying on Mark's downfall and having my prayers answered.
So James will be in the finale. That's coming up Sunday. And again, I can't wait.
But you won by default, right?
I mean, not by default, but yeah. I've had a quality squad that's earned.
Well, I don't mean by default. I meant like there's no drama for you.
There's no drama.
No, he's
Correct.
altered the points, differentials and everything like that on his own.
No, I just have 2 teams left playing the semifinal.
James, you were out on vacation.
0.
He's like, shouldn't we make these more point value?
You have 0.
Okay.
Mark, 0. That's what you have.
Very fitting that he's wearing all this Notre Dame gear today. Very shady
I can't wait
looking.
for Notre Dame football season. Have I told you guys it's the most anticipated I've been for Notre Dame football season since I came out of the womb?
God, is Northern Illinois on the schedule? I hope they are.
So is that every year for you?
No,
Are you saying this as...
No.
Okay.
I think you know me, James, enough to know I'm not like I'm a I say this was a cautionary, flag thrown up there. I'm a relatively realistic fan. Like if my team stinks, I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay.
We stink. I mean, I'm not clinging on to hope to the Cincinnati Reds right now. They stink. I'm done with them. Move on. No, I'm not that way about the Irish this year. I'm very, very optimistic.
Rice on September 12th. Look out. I'm already circling it.
At Bill Belichick coming up later this year.
Mm-hmm. Rice, upset alert. Look out.
You can tell Mark's a little fired up today when we can't even get the Belichick voice out of him at 7:06 in the morning here.
Oh, we got Notre Dame on Saturday. Should be a good game. Jordan, you want to go to South Bend? We can watch the South Bend Cubs play.
The fact that he is still coaching there is hilarious to me.
We can listen to Brendan King.
Yeah, Brendan King. BK, as I like to call him.
Oh, boy, a lot to get to here on this Wednesday morning. So, again, Argentina, England, that's 3 o'clock today. Cannot wait for that one. I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing if this is it for Lionel Messi and if England can, really rich history. But saw a stat yesterday. They've been to 7 World Cup quarterfinals. They've only turned those into 1 final in their history here. So we'll see if they're singing Hey Jude down there in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Speaking of Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the site of Memorial Stadium South last year in that Peach Bowl for Indiana. We'll talk a little college football. Scott Docterman going to join us here coming up at 9 o'clock as we get closer to the start of that season, probably just a little over a month away. And again, James, tonight inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse, I feel like Golden State's one of the most nondescript WNBA teams out there. Now, part of it is they're relatively new to the league, but I don't think they have a lot of star power on their roster, but ho-hum, here they are. They had a nice, I thought, first season in the league, and this year they've been one of the better teams. We'll see again about the health of their leading scorer, Gabby Williams, tonight, but Vegas likes this one. Fever favored by just 2.5 as they return home.
Yes, so Gabby Williams, as you've mentioned here throughout the show, is questionable with a back contusion. Caitlin Clark is probable with her back issues this season, and I'm curious to see if her minutes restriction will be lifted after having a few days off. And, of course, I would argue that the Valkyries are playing some of the best basketball, if not the best basketball in the WNBA. They're ranked number 1 in ESPN's power rankings as of late, and the Fever come in at number 4.
So, again, we look forward to that. That's 8 o'clock, back-to-back Friday, Saturday. I guess the Caitlin Clark combos, okay, are we there to 30 minutes, north of 30 minutes?
Right.
Are we back to kind of the normal for her? And then we probably have another question of the back-to-back coming up this weekend. That is Seattle and New York. Seattle Friday, not very good. New York Saturday, better. So my thought there is you could sit her Friday, play her Saturday. But again, that's just me with a little conjecture on that. If you're down in the Bloomington area, or if you're very much intrigued by Darren DeVries' second season, they will play a basketball game tonight inside of Assembly Hall. It's a exhibition game against a team from up in Canada. So we see this every year. Certainly a lot lately where college basketball teams go on these foreign tours. Indiana will go to Peru. coming up here later this month. So they will play an exhibition game prior to that. No television, radio, or anything affiliated with the game, but they'll actually play. I say a real game, but obviously that's in quotes. I know Purdue's heading up to Canada, I believe, later this month. It's kind of wild. I was thinking about this yesterday. When's the last time Purdue basketball's returned one starter?
That sounds like a mistake or a glitch in the system. But I suppose your players have to graduate at some point. But yeah, that is kind of crazy because that senior class last year, very rare to have that happen probably at any point throughout college sports, but especially over the last decade when you see so much player movement, NIL money, you have players that can play at the next level, at least right now. You got 2 of them in summer league. So, yeah, that is kind of crazy to say out loud.
Yeah, Oscar Clough as well. I actually was watching a little bit of the summer league yesterday. He was playing for the Rockets, so he would be the 4th starter. Again, Pacers will take on Trey Kaufman-Renn. I did see Kaufman-Renn at 10-6 off the bench for the T-Wolves the other day. So nothing like Trey Kaufman-Renn and Rink Mast, bowing heads again like their Purdue-Nebraska day. So that'll be 3:30 today. So again, if you want, you've got a good amount here on the sports docket here on this Wednesday morning. Anything else I'm missing here? Mark Dykton, you are out starting tomorrow. Is that correct?
Correct. I need to hang my head in shame and, disappointment in France. Need a couple days to reboot.
Well, yeah, a couple days till the third place game on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You let me know when and where with that buffalo chicken dip.
By the way, shout out to our great friends over at Cluster Truck. They invited me yesterday over to Victory Field. The Indians hosted a batting cage session. You could take some cuts in the cage and then go out to the outfield and shag some balls. Boys, I got a lot of nostalgia being in those cages. A lot of nostalgia. There's just something about the smell of the ballpark.
So did you yell that line that we were talking about? What is it? Balls in, coming down. Did you yell it?
I yelled it once, and everybody just kind of looked at me. Now, there are a few kids out there in the outfield shagging as well, and they kind of looked at me like, okay, I like that.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if they were going to be like, oh, this guy's lame.
Well,
or...
I think it was one of those, like, are we allowed to say anything? Who's the strange guy out here that's, trying to hawk fly balls out here? But, boy, there's just something, just the smell of the glove. I wanted to eat my glove. Just smelled like that.
Okay, now you sound like Max Bowen's father.
Oh, that sounds about right.
And just the pop of the mitt, smack of the bat there.
You're a baseball purist.
I love. There's something about baseball I do just love.
There was always that kid on the little league team that was like eating the braids of the glove. That was Kevin, I guess. Yesterday.
Oh, I see Major League Baseball players chew on their glove. Come on now. You aren't a great shortstop if you're not chewing on the braids of the glove a little bit there.
Is that where you're playing shortstop?
No. You weren't allowed in the infield. You had to be out in the outfield.
You're not messing up our stuff.
This adult man is eating his leather. We should probably leave him as far away from the infield as possible.
I will say there were a few that got in the cage there that looked like, Game 7 of the World Series.
Eye black and everything.
They brought their gloves. They had a waggler too that looked like they're going to wake up people at the JW Marriott. It was quite something. So shout out to the Indians for that.
Did you get some nice hacks in?
Yeah.
Contact?
First couple cuts were like, oh boy, I'm feeling a little stiff there. But by the end of my 10 swings, I felt like I made some nice contact on a few of them. And then of course it gets done, and I'm like, I went to the wood bat for the final few cuts.
Okay.
I wanted to feel what that wood bat felt like there. But then of course, the guy's like, hey, last ball. I'm like, oh, damn, I want 10 more.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do I wiggle my way back in the line to somehow get
This is like
10 more?
when we do closest to the pin. You always have to leave a little early.
Yeah.
Get the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But we finish up, and of course, they're like, hey, we got 10 more balls to hit. And I'm like, I'm not hitting any of these. I can barely hit the ball when I'm supposed to. And Shane goes, oh, okay. And Shane being Shane Steichen, I'll take 1 or 2. He took like 10. So
He's
you're
got a
not
little
the
bit
only
more
one.
clout over there.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, it's addicting. JJ Stankiewicz took more than 1 or 2. We got to get rid of the balls.
It is very, very addicting, and that pond has some gravitational pull over there. So the JW Marriott was sparred yesterday for many of us. Shout out to Evan. Evan Sherrill, a little lefty action. He was roping some balls down the right field line there. So
ever smelling good.
Oh, yes.
Evan Sherrill.
Outstanding. So nice day over there. Have you ever seen when those Major League ballparks do the golf holes?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
At their venues. I
Yeah.
think that is an outstanding idea as well.
Yeah, Victory Field's done that a couple times now. So
My brother-in-law went up to Wrigley a few months ago and
Yeah.
did like a work event there. I think that's so smart.
Ashley was like, "Do you want to do it?" And then I saw the prices. Like, I'd like to do it.
Oh, is it crazy expensive?
It was like $105.
And so what are you doing? Just like AstroTurf mats around
Yeah.
the outfield or anything like that? Gosh, I would like to do that, but yeah, that doesn't make on me.
Like, well, then I love Wrigley. I love all that. That's a bit steep.
Speaking of golf, Will Haskett going to join us coming up. Final major of the year, Royal Birkdale. So this time tomorrow, you better believe I'll have this TV turn to the British Open. That is where we will be for the final major of the year. Bryson DeChambeau going for 0 for 4 in major cuts this year. I have an interesting stat to share with you, gentlemen, on that here on this Wednesday morning. That is James Boyd with a quiet cackle. He was doing that yesterday as the Spaniards beat Mark Dykton and the French squad in the World Cup semifinal.
I said my baguette was very soggy yesterday. I did not enjoy that.
Nothing like a saggy baguette on a 98-degree day here in Indy. Thanks for starting your Wednesday with us. Fan Morning Show here, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. How about some indoor? How about some outdoor concrete? When I say that, I mean this. Garages, basements, patios, porches, sidewalks. Examine your home. Examine your workplace if you want to. Look at those things. Garages, basements, patios, porches, sidewalks. You're going to come away thinking, oh boy, yeah, now that I look at this a little bit closer, we could use an upgrade or two. That's where our friends at Galaxy Concrete Coatings can help you out. By visiting that website, galaxyconcretecoatings.com, you'll see pictures and styles that are available to you and can kind of meet, your aesthetic of what you'd be looking for. And no matter what, it's going to be an upgrade. I mean, I was pretty blown away by how much better my sidewalk, my front porch looked. Now, we're about 4 summers into it here. The manufacturer has upgraded the warranty from 15 years to lifetime, but again, ours looks as good as new. So that is indoor and outdoor concrete. It's Galaxy Concrete Coatings, garages, basements, patios, porches, sidewalks. Contact them today, galaxyconcretecoatings.com.
checked out. Brought to you by Bet365 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
All right, actually a pretty busy Wednesday here in the sports world. Let's begin tonight inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Fever will start a 4-game homestand before they head to the All-Star break. They will take on the Golden State Valkyries, and James, Valkyries won 7 in a row. So on paper right now, it's a really nice matchup tonight between Golden State and Indiana. They've split their first 2 meetings this season.
Just like how I felt the other night when they beat the Aces, this is another opportunity for the Fever to prove that they're a championship caliber team, a championship level team. So excited to see what is in store tonight, and also if Caitlin Clark will have her minutes restriction lifted tonight, given that she's been dealing with the back injury all year.
Shout out to Kelsey Mitchell, Eastern Conference Player of the Week. She has scored at least 25 points in 6 straight games. That is the third longest streak in the history of the league. So the bucket getter honored yesterday by the league. Pacers Summer League 3:30 today. That'll be Braden Smith facing his college teammate Trey Kaufman-Renn. It's Minnesota. They should have one more game. Hasn't been announced yet. Should have one more game out there in Vegas. Probably many more national eyes certainly will be on the World Cup at 3 o'clock today. That will be Argentina and England. Again, despite Argentina being the defending champ and ranked higher in the world, England is actually the slight favorite in this one. So I can't wait. Is this it for Messi? Does England finally get over the hump here in the World Cup? This is juicy to me.
I want to say no. I want to say Messi gets through to the final, and that will be his final World Cup match, trying to go for the back-to-back World Cup titles.
So again, Sunday, that will be Spain awaiting the winner of today. 2-0 for the Spaniards yesterday over France. Mark, I do say this in all seriousness, like France they look shell-shocked. And I get they haven't played from behind much in this tournament, but I mean, it's not like France had a ton of opportunities until the final 5 or 10 minutes of the game.
No, one goal. The first goal might have been counted for 2 because they seemed like, oh boy, we got a mountain to climb now. And then when that second goal went in right at the start of the second half, it was like 48-0 at that point.
So again, it'll be Spain awaiting the winner of Argentina and England coming up today. We talked a little bit about it earlier. Darren DeVries and company, they've got an exhibition game inside of Assembly Hall tonight. Tickets available to the game. No TV, no radio. They're getting ready to go on a foreign tour to Peru. So very new look IU basketball team, which we say that pretty much annually. They will have their first, I guess, somewhat real game coming up tonight inside of Assembly Hall. They'll go to Peru for their foreign tournament. Purdue goes to Canada coming up here a little bit later this month. MLB All-Star game last night. I just a dud. Yeah, shutout. NL shutout, 4-0. First All-Star shutout since 2013. I didn't watch much.
No, I was in and out, and then, I was like, I think I'm going to go to bed early. Might as well. There's not much else going on, and I can already tell. I'm like, National League don't got it. There's no runs coming in. Check the score this morning. I'm like, yep, I made the right decision there.
Mark sounds like Rick Venturi talking about the runner-up bowl. I got to talk to Coach about this when I see him at training camp, because he has stories for days, and I'm sure he would have a very spirited opinion, not only about these current Colts, but like we talked about back in the day, the runner-up bowl.
Yeah, he quoted the great Vince Lombardi, saying Lombardi called the game a game for losers. So, Mark, your French team, a game for losers coming up on Saturday.
That's okay.
Boy, I hope Mbappe's healthy for that third-place game.
He needs to be. I might put some money down on him.
ESPYs tonight, for those that dabble in that. I guess you can bet on the ESPYs, and somehow, I told you guys earlier.
You can bet on the ESPYs? You can bet on anything, but continue.
The best team award, like, to me, the disadvantage that Indiana football has in a year like this is they're in an Olympic year. And I feel like in an Olympic year, they're always going to side with kind of those teams, those athletes. Tie goes to maybe the Olympian in this case. And the USA hockey story was great. It was a hell of a game. Jack Hughes, golden goal, Canada, gold medal, et cetera, et cetera. I saw where, like, the Knicks are the heavy favorite. We cannot be giving the best team to the Knicks over USA hockey and IU football.
They were dominant throughout the playoffs.
But still.
I would agree with you, but is that the New York bias kicking in?
I mean, I usually I'm not one to play that game, but I don't know. Maybe you're onto something.
It might be a little bit of that just because they're a big market, but I would agree. The argument for IU is pretty simple. Besides being undefeated, they were 16-0, first college team since the 1800s to go 16-0.
Right, and I mean, obviously, I get the 16-0 is because we've expanded the playoff, but you can make the case that they were, one of the more dominant, really, teams we've had in college football.
Mm-hmm.
I think people debated that a little bit of, how great of obviously they won it all, but are they up there with the Joe Burrow LSU teams or whatever, some of those Alabama teams? So ESPYs tonight for those that like to dabble in that. We'll start the British Open coming up tomorrow. Will Haskett, always enjoy our chats with Will. He'll hop on around 8 o'clock to talk about that. And again, IndyCar back in action this weekend. It is the Nashville Super Speedway. Joseph Newgarden, hometown race for him. He is your defending champ down there. I guess a little bit of Colts news, if you want to call it news, maybe July news. Yesterday, we can hit on that coming up on the other side. We got a Mark Dykton, I Gotta Know to get to. And I do have an amendment to the World Cup I would like to make, which I hope I'm not talking out of both sides of my mouth, because I'm not a fan of expanding it, but I am a fan of tweaking something here moving forward.
Okay.
We'll discuss all of it. Fan Morning Show here on a Wednesday. Mark, I'm going to guess Amber Hardwick's weather update is it's hot.
A heat advisory is in effect between noon and 8 p.m. today. Mostly sunny and muggy with a high of 93 degrees. Heat index may rise around 100 this afternoon. I'm Fox 59 meteorologist Amber Hardwick for The Fan.
Andy Moore Group campus in Avon, one-stop shop for 4 different brands. That campus right off of Rockville Road. You've got Nissan, Toyota, Volkswagen. And way down there on the end, if you're coming out from Indy, how about the Kia brand? GM Joe in there. Tell him Kevin Bowen sent you. Summer sticker sale event. That's live. You can win $750 off of that sticker sale event. Tons of great inventory on site there. The Telluride, very popular if you want a little smaller, but some nice gas mileage. How about the K4? Industry-leading warranty via the Kia brand, and the hybrid model. Probably the most models available in hybrid is what Kia's got coming for you there in Avon. So again, they're one of 4 brands: Volkswagen, Nissan, Toyota, the 3 others. It's a great place to compare and contrast some shopping that you have there. That would be Andy Moore Group campus in Avon, right off of Rockville Road. Nissan, Toyota, Kia, Volkswagen. Tell them Kevin Bowen sent you.
This is the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen and James Boyd.
A good Wednesday morning. Thank you for starting your day off with us. Some matinee action today. World Cup, Pacers Summer League, the Fever back at home coming up 8 o'clock tonight. A rather notable opponent based off the standings in Golden State. The Fever really, if they can create a homestand here where they go 3-1, 4-0, they all of a sudden are going to sit there at the All-Star break, and when they return, we're going to start talking about like legit home court stuff. You know, potentially one of the top seeds. That's how they can kind of change, I think, a big part of what the storyline has been like here through the first half of the season. So we'll await the official minutes restriction, if that has been pulled off Caitlin Clark yet, or if that will still be there for her tonight, again, 8 o'clock inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Yesterday, that Colts conversation sparked quite a lot. What do you want out of the Colts this season? Do you guys have any lingering thoughts on that? You know, Mark, maybe one more time on those poll results, because it ended up being a lot closer to 50-50 than we thought. And basically, to summarize it succinctly for those that missed it, are we in the, oh yeah, I just want wins. I don't care about long-term ramifications at all. I want to see a 9-win season, even if it means the regime's back and Chris Ballard gets an extension. Is that the boat you sit in, or are you in the boat where it's time to reset? And if that means a 6-win season, so be it. You need to take a step back to truly take a step forward. What were those final results, Mark, poll-wise?
So the poll literally just closed, and it did spread it out a little bit more as we got through the show and through the afternoon and evening. Bottom out and bring change garnered 57% of the vote, with 9+ bring Ballard back getting 43% of the vote. So spaced it out a little bit. We were 50-50 pretty for a lot of the morning yesterday.
And then the negative Nancy's came.
Wait, there's a poll out to get Ballard out? Let me click on this.
At the same time, I can't necessarily fault them because it seems like the last half decade, KB, or even just the last 3 years or so, it's been the same song and dance where you're kind of in the mix toward the end of the season. You're fighting for that 8-9, 9-8 finish. You finish in a middling fashion and you barely missed the playoffs, quote unquote. Now, I know last year wasn't a barely missing the playoffs. You just missed. But my point is the Colts are never really bad enough outside of 2022 to have everything kind of decided before November. But then they get to November and December and can't win a game. Now, I'm being hyperbolic there a little bit. They have won a game in the latter months of the season, but their record is not good when we get to the winter months. When you get to the basically winning in months, they don't perform well. And you could chalk that up to the general manager, the coach, the scheme, the players, whatever the case may be. But if someone were to see all of that and say, I want an overhaul, I can't be mad at them.
Yeah, and when you say like they haven't been bad enough, it's interesting because in professional sports, I think we see this a lot. We see individuals get fired even when their record maybe doesn't necessarily merit the obvious fire label to it. We see on occasion teams that make the playoffs fire their head coach or their general manager. And I see Ricky's back on the text line here early on this Wednesday morning because he was firing away in the 9 o'clock hour yesterday, James. He brought up, if you look at the Colts track record, which I think it's something that's kind of difficult for us to gauge right now because Carly Ursay-Gordon, while she is Jim Irsay's oldest daughter, she also is not Jim Irsay. So it's like, do you go off precedent that her father had, or do we just sit here and say she's a totally different person and it's hard to really gauge anything? I'm probably more there, but Ricky was bringing up the point. If you look at the Colts' history under Jim Irsay, there were firings or letting goes of individuals that had far more accomplished resumes than Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen.
Right.
Ricky,
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
At the time that these happened, because obviously I wasn't here, did it feel like the right move? Like, did it feel like it was a crazy overreach to get rid of Grigson or get rid of, Pagano or people like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Griggs and Pagano, people were just like, oh my gosh, you have this general. It's a little bit like the fever. It's almost like with every loss, it's like, wait, you aren't going 16-0 without Andrew Luck?
Fair.
Or with Andrew Luck. There was a little bit of that feel to it. Also, you had like a Days of Our Lives relationship between Grigson and Pagano that was pretty well documented.
Okay.
By all accounts, you don't have that with Ballard and Steichen. Now, again, some people would say, I don't care if you get along or not. Show up on Sunday and win. There are plenty of examples in sports of people that probably don't get along, and yet they still produce a winning product here. So, Ricky, I think, was coming at it from more of just a pure wins and losses standpoint. And, if you do look at records, just record, Grigson and Pagano are overwhelmingly more accomplished. Now, Again, they had Andrew Luck, and obviously this regime has really not had Andrew Luck, if you want to boil it down. Now, of course, Grigson people would say, well, look at their record without Andrew Luck. I think they were above 500 when they started Hasselbeck and Whitehurst and Tolzien and whoever else they had to start during those years as well. So that's where I do think it gets back to the conversation again of how much has Carly Ursay-Gordon wiped the slate clean on that. I told you guys earlier I was driving over to Victory Field yesterday to get some great cuts. Well, I don't know about great cuts, but get some enjoyable moments maybe in the batting cages over there. And I stopped by Lucas Oil Stadium and caught a glimpse of one Alec Pierce on the side of LOS, replacing Kenny Moore II. Did you guys think more Daniel Jones, Sauce Gardner? I mean, we had this debate probably a month and a half ago. Did you guys think that would be the route? Quarterback, corner, you spent quite a lot on, or did you think Alec Pierce would be the guy?
I thought it should have been Daniel Jones because when you give your quarterback $50 million guaranteed, a 2-year, $88 million deal, I get that it's a quote-unquote short deal, he's still QB1. And how many teams don't advertise QB1 on their stadium? That probably lets you know the state of the quarterback situation.
This has to be one of the longer streaks of not a team not showcasing their quarterback in any capacity. Anthony Richardson was never on there. Now Daniel Jones not on there.
I'm going to guess they haven't had a quarterback on there since Luck, right? I mean, it was, there's no way Rivers was on there. And They only played 1 year here.
No.
Carson Wentz really up there?
I don't think so. How long have they been doing the banners? That long? Does it date back to Carson Wentz?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I'd assume you've been doing it for a while there.
It's a Mike Chappell question.
I will say,
Dean would tell us.
One thing I noticed yesterday was like, oh boy, you can tell the Buckner, Nelson, Taylor ones have been up there for a while.
A little tattered?
They're a little bit more faded than the Alec
faded,
Pierce one.
Sunshine.
Did you catch the defender at the bottom of the Alec Pierce picture, Mark?
I did not.
You want to take a closer look and maybe zoom in on
I'm about to go look.
Who's laying on the ground there of that?
Looks like a Bears player, but I can't make out who it is.
Is that a Bears defender?
Looks like it.
Is that the Colts saying this is our state? This is our state.
Did you stretch before that reach?
Little head message there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, come on now.
Give him a little teabag action, it looks like. Obviously not right under him, but like that's very
How many
much
times have the Colts, I think the Colts could pick a lot of other pictures than the Bears. Play the Bears once in a blue moon, right?
J.W. Marriott's going to say, like, this is our state.
But yeah, I thought, to Jones's, well, two things. Mark, I literally don't think they've put a quarterback up there since Luck, which honestly, this probably gets back to when we had Chris Ballard on. This is now 2 combines ago. And, he's asked, why do you feel like you haven't figured it out? Just to try to boil it down to a simple question. Why do you feel like 8 years in at that point you haven't figured it out? And he basically said quarterback.
Yeah.
That is the example. Like, you have 4 pictures on the side of your building, and for 7 years now, none of them been a quarterback. That's why. I mean, that's like that's a big piece of the pie, I guess is probably the better way to put it. Now, James, as far as Daniel Jones is concerned, should there be a game threshold? He's played how many games as a Colt? 12?
Yes, 12.
Is that too little? Do you have to earn your stripes a little bit here? Do you need to be a Colt for more than a year? Is that the Sauce Gardner thought?
Maybe.
I mean, if we went off, you're paying a quarterback a lot of money. Well, a lot of teams pay a quarterback a lot of money. Is there Alec Pierce has earned his stripes? He's played for the team. He's earned, he's progressed well.
No, I'm basing this off of Chris Ballard telling us he's our quarterback of the future. Put him up there.
I think Chris Ballard said that before about a few other quarterbacks.
That's also true.
You're gonna be up there. You're gonna be asking those workers to climb up there.
Give me a
on
little
the
checkmate there, KB.
Scaffolding.
That was a nice little response, a nice rebuttal here.
I mean, I did hear from people yesterday that thought Jones. Yeah, I get it's quarterback. I think I'm good with Pierce over Jones. I think there is a little bit of a multiple year kind of earning it. And honestly, that's
one guy he played on a broken leg for you. Okay?
Yeah, but Daniel Jones's career has kind of been like, hey man, what's the greatest ability? Availability. I think I'm good with it.
I don't have any strong opinion about it, but I still would lean towards the quarterback.
Best chance to be up there in 2030 out of those 4. Pierce, Nelson, Tayller, Buckner.
You actually stole one of my questions for you guys for I Gotta Know. That was what I was going to ask.
God dang it.
Should we hold on? Man, great minds, Mark.
Yeah. No, I was going to say even 2 years from now. Are any of all 4 of those guys going to be up there?
Oh, that's a good one too.
That was basically the question.
In 2 years. That's a good one.
I mean, you would think Pierce, right?
Well, Pierce would have to
So
be up there.
contract-wise, you would think
Yeah.
so,
Pierce
but
or
everybody else
Nelson
is
would
free
prob-
agents at the end of this season.
Pierce,
Yeah.
you know?
That's a good
I mean,
one.
Buckner's the one that you got I think you got some real questions about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't want to put James. You got better memory than me, and you were at his football camp. Buckner in the retirement word, he did bring up right at some point this offseason. Like we
I'd have
had
to go back.
conversations about maybe not the retirement word, but like I had some conversations with my family about my future. Maybe
Yeah, he did bring that up, and wanting to have a life after football, and so you start hearing that conversation, you start thinking, oh boy, is the retirement word going to be around the corner for DeForest Buckner? I think this training camp will reveal a lot, and of course, the season will reveal even more. But if he can't be DeForest Buckner, the dominant defensive lineman, one, it'll really hurt the Colts in their pass rush because you need another guy to take some attention away from Latu so he can have a breakout year. But on top of that, Kevin, DeForest doesn't strike me as a guy who would just hang on just for the sake of doing it. I think that he would like to be a good player on his way out. Now, I think he's realistic as well to say, okay, I might not be at the same level I was 7 years ago or whatever, but at the same time, I don't think he's just desperate to chase checks and to say I'm an NFL player. So that could be a part of the equation too.
maybe it's just the Toy Story in me, but I don't want to see aging toys. I don't want to see an aging DeForest Buckner.
I know. I told you he's God's favorite. God's favorite should not be aging.
I want Buzz Lightyear's buttons all to work.
Yeah,
You know,
but if you think about it, he's been here since 2020.
Yeah, 20, yeah.
That's not as close as it used to be.
Right. No, certainly. I mean, hell, it's the last time the Colts have made the playoffs, right?
Yeah, the world was different.
2020
Did
COVID
you even,
year.
Did you all
COVID
even
year,
have
baby.
kids in 2020?
Rosie Bowen was born in
I was
2020.
going to say,
She's
Mark, you
going to
might have had
kindergarten.
one, but yeah.
2017 was the first, yeah.
Yeah, it is crazy when you kind of put it in those football-related terms.
Wait, so both of
there.
you guys were not fathers the last time the Colts won a division title?
Nope.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't even met Maddie. I mean,
Wow.
that was 12 years ago, right? 13 years ago? 12 years ago?
Well, 2014 was. Yeah,
I wasn't married.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, life in the world was different, to say the least.
Yeah. Didn't have my kids pulling out my gray hairs like they were doing yesterday.
After you got back from Victory Field?
After I was sweating a little bit over there at Victory Field.
I was going to say.
But that was an earned sweat. I was fine with sweating over there.
I'm surprised you didn't take that $25 poker chip and go to town in Cincinnati.
When you guys play catch, are you like trying to work on any of your pitch? I was trying to see if I still had a little spin on the pitch. Or did you guys do that, or are you guys just throwing a bunch of two-seam fastballs back and forth?
Well, you should know. The pitching isn't as bad as the golf swing, but it ain't pretty.
You're not climbing up there for the first pitch anytime soon?
No chance.
Ronald Norred humming it in there?
I'm not humming it in there. I don't think I would do the 50 Cent. I think it'd be a little better than that. But, yeah, I'm not trying to, actually throw the ball with any sort of velocity.
You're trying to get some movement or some heat on it?
Well, I'd say early on I'm just trying to loosen up the arm, but then after a few I'm trying to see, okay, can I make that thing dance a little?
Mark,
You
please
got the
clip that.
Kurt Schilling
Mark,
curveball
please
coming or
clip that.
something?
Don't look at me sideways. I can't be
Can I
the only
make that
one that
thing
tries to
dance
see
a
if they can
little?
create a little movement there. You're not, Mark?
No. At that, what am I doing? For what reason?
I don't know, just to see if you can make
To see if you can make the big
Yeah.
leagues. Come
Looking
on,
around,
man.
are there any
Ball's
scouts
life.
around here?
Well, you never know. You never know when you get called up.
Anybody looking for a mid-60-mile-an-hour fastball coming your way?
Tyler here. Love Alec Pierce, but him being on the side of the building speaks volumes to this team's lack of star power.
I don't know. I can agree with that to an extent, but also you paid the guy over $100 million, so he's supposed to be one of your stars.
I'd also say the lack of star power at your quarterback position.
Yeah, more specifically, that probably is where I would go.
I mean, again, if we've been doing these, which I think we have been doing these since Andrew Luck was here. I mean, 7 years without a quarterback. I mean, how many teams?
I'm trying to dig through the Google images, and I don't see any with Andrew Luck on the side. I see a T.Y. Hilton one, but that one's
what
just
did we
thank
do?
you for
Just
the
put a
memories.
bunch of horseshoes up there?
So Alec Pierce might be the first wide receiver since T.Y. But I don't see an Andrew Luck one. And I mean, there's only so many to choose from. but I seen Adam Vinatieri one. I don't see Andrew Luck.
Well, if Adam Vinatieri's on there, then Andrew Luck's got to be on there, right? Adam Vinatieri retired in what year?
I'm not sure. What year did he retire? I know it was before I got on the beat.
I was going to guess pretty similar to when Andrew Luck did. I mean, if you got Adam Vinatieri on the side of your building, you had to have had Andrew Luck on the side of your building.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, hell, he's going in the Hall of Fame, right, this year, which means you have to be, 5 years removed?
Vinatieri retired in 2021.
Yeah.
So that's 5 years ago. I mean, Luck was, I guess a year before that. 2 years before that. Colts, 2 weeks from today, first practice up at Grand Park. Again, the Fever back in action tonight. That is 8 o'clock inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Golden State Valkyries have won 7 in a row here. Fever favored by 2.5 in this one. I'm all in on England today. England over Messi. That's what I want. England's been to 7 quarterfinals in their World Cup history and only 1 final.
That's kind of crazy for a country of that size with that level of talent, quite frankly, throughout the years. And so we'll see if Jude Bellingham can get it done.
Hey Jude action. Seems like Hey Jude better than Harry Kane right now through the World Cup here. So 3 o'clock today in Atlanta. That will be England, and that will be Argentina. There was some chatter about the British Open Sunday overseas, if they need to move up the tee times at all. If England is in the final, that would be Sunday there. We'll discuss a little British Open. We have him on during every golf major. He is the great Will Haskett. He's going to join us next. Still got some college football talk to get to. Scott Docterman going to join us in the 9 o'clock hour as we inch closer to that. A little bit of college hoops news that we can get to, as Indiana and Purdue will actually have some summer action if you want to dabble in any of that. We'll hit on that as well here coming up. 8 o'clock hour on this Wednesday morning. Thanks for starting your Wednesday off with us. Fan Morning Show right here, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Well, I'd say early on, I'm just trying to loosen up the arm, but then after a few, I'm trying to see, okay, can I make that thing dance a little? They sing this in Olympic Park today, Mark Dykton.
I mean, that is such an awesome atmosphere. I'm going to seriously miss the World Cup.
You're
It's
right,
been
man.
so good.
You're right. I have an amendment to the World Cup that I would like to make. And I think based off what you just said there, you might be with me on this.
I'm all ears. I look forward to it.
I know we've had our disagreements here over the last hour or so, but I think you might be with me here on this. Hell, they might be singing that outside of Royal Birkdale coming up on Sunday, especially if the three Lions are playing for the World Cup title. Let's head to the hotline right now. We have him on every major during the golf season from PGA Tour Radio. The great Will Haskett joins us here. Will, good morning, sir.
I haven't done the power rankings of every country's song this year. That's got to be number one, right?
Boy, it's got to be up there, right? I mean, yeah, easily up there. I mean, the whole atmosphere and the action of the rowing, I certainly got into, but
Yeah, sure.
I mean, if you're going to Americanize it, especially, I would say little Oasis action is probably going to take the cake for us.
Yeah, I mean, Norway gets the win for best fan interactive sort of cheer or hype up, but what were they singing after they won? I don't know what they were singing when Norway.
Row your boat. Was that what it was, Mark?
Yeah, so that's got to be a little bit lower than Wonderwall. And no disrespect to the late great Bob Denver, but that one completely takes, in my opinion, the number one spot over Country Roads.
Now, Will Haskett, to nerd out a little bit here, what about a Saturday night coming up this weekend of Tommy Fleetwood holding a one-shot lead and England and Spain in the World Cup final that Sunday? Would that be quite the day for our brothers and sisters across the pond?
Yeah, that'd be really cool for the UK. I heard you talking about it in the last segment. It was confirmed this morning they are not going to move tee times up on Sunday in the Open Championship out of fear that if England does make the final, that everybody would abandon the property early on Sunday and lead to a poor final round sort of crowd atmosphere. Right now, without a playoff, it's scheduled for the final round to be done about an hour and 20 minutes before there would be kickoff of that game. But, of course, England's got to get there. Everybody kind of saying, yeah, how cool it would be if an Englishman like Tommy Fleetwood had the lead, probably because he's the best talent from England right now in terms of, being up there near the top of the board. But, to go into the history of this tournament, it was at this golf course at Royal Birkdale when Justin Rose was a 17-year-old teenager and finished in the top 5. And Rose has kind of put himself in this position. And he's my age. He's 45 years old, almost 46. And for him to win and have that full circle moment from being an AM who burst onto the scene in his entire journey, I think that would be pretty cool as well.
Again, that is the voice of Will Haskett, our resident golf expert. Will, I'm not like you, an expert when it comes to this sport, but I was reading about how this is the first time in a while that the British Open has been held at the Royal Birkdale, and there's been some changes to the course. And so for our listeners, can you explain what some of those changes are? And do you think there'll be a factor in how things could play out and who could be standing atop the mountaintop?
Yeah, I mean, they've moved. It's subtle in terms of the changes. It's not as if the routing. I mean, these are legendary old courses. And so, yes, while you can reshape some greens and you can sort of, move the angles of where the rough and the fairway are and where the bunkering is, like it'd take a while to kind of go through, I guess, hole by hole of what the changes are. But I think the beauty of links golf is that even though this golf course looks different than the last time they played it in terms of how it's laid out, Mother Nature leading in and Mother Nature during the week really dictates how these golf courses play. And so, kind of like here we are in central Indiana getting ready for another heat wave today. If you haven't been paying attention, the UK, much of Europe has been in a historical heat wave over the last couple of weeks. They don't have air conditioning as much as we do over here, over there. So there's some pretty, in some cases, tragic stories. But if your Americans are traveling over there learning that, your Airbnb may not be equipped with air conditioning and it's going to be a high of 88 today is a different sort of world over there. But what it means to the golf course is it's brown. It is baked. You could hit a 6-iron 300 yards if you hit it in a low trajectory and it just goes rumbling and tumbling down the middle of the fairway. So even more than these guys kind of figuring out how this golf course is different. And most of the guys in the field haven't played an Open Championship here. So what they're doing is they're just sort of learning and adapting to conditions that, especially if you're an American golfer, you have not seen at all this year. There are very few courses in the United States that can replicate what those conditions are going to be this week. So it is a dust bowl over there. They're not anticipating any rain whatsoever through the week. The temperatures are going to be warm by UK standards. And so, yeah, you've got a golf course where you have to learn how to hit golf shots and how to play the ball on the ground far more than any other test that you've had in golf this year.
A firm and fast British Open awaits, it sounds like, here coming up starting tomorrow. Some coffee golf at Royal Birkdale. That's Will Haskett. Always enjoy his insight with us here around major season. Okay, last time, Scotty Scheffler misses the cut last week for the first time in eons. We saw him miss a short putt to win the Travelers, or to extend the Travelers, I should say, a few weeks back. You've got that storyline. Obviously, you have Rory trying to add another claret jug to his resume, a freed up resume, if you will. You mentioned some of the English, whether it's Matt Fitzpatrick, you want to go Scotland for Robert McIntyre, obviously the Tommy Fleetwood story. If you want to dabble in a little live golf, Bryson DeChambeau has had a horrific major season. Do you have a favorite storyline or a storyline or two you're keeping an eye on?
Yeah, I don't know if there's not a great heartstring storyline this week. I mentioned sort of the Justin Rose symmetry and it all. It would obviously be great if, somebody with English or Scottish, or you mentioned some of those name ties. I mean, it's a great trivia question right now. If I threw it out to the room or if I threw it out to anybody listening, there are only two players on the PGA Tour this year that have won 3 times. It's not Scotty Scheffler. It's not Rory McIlroy. It's not really any of the names you'd expect. It's Chris Gotterup and Matt Fitzpatrick. And Matt Fitzpatrick, I was mentioning Tommy Fleetwood. A lot of the reason why people think that, he might be the best equipped and best playing Englishman. It's really Matt Fitzpatrick who's the best playing Englishman in the game in 2026. And he's got all the tools to be able to do it. So there's another major winner that could sort of get it across. Yeah, I think it would be, is it a likable local character or fella that is able to sort of pull this thing out would probably be the story that we're looking at, because I think all the other stuff you mentioned is kind of tired in the golf space. Scotty Scheffler has played great golf this year. He just hasn't won at a great level. That can happen. Rory McIlroy is in a great headspace, but it's not as if he comes in as the prohibitive favorite, and can he do it? Nor does he really have anything else to sort of prove. So I think I would be really intrigued by, an Englishman or a Bob McIntyre, a Scott, somebody like that who is in the mix, and what that ambiance, I guess, would be like coming down the stretch. And we've actually seen a pretty good run of Open champions who have been top 25 players in the world over the last decade or so. So I wouldn't be surprised if you have some of those names in the mix, especially given the fact that this is going to be a really, really true test of links golf this week with those firm and fast conditions.
Last one I got for you, Will. I'm reading here that Nick Faldo was the last Englishman to win the Open. He did so in 1992. Do you think this could be the year the drought gets ended?
Yeah, there's just too many good candidates to not say that it could. Like I mentioned, a Fitzpatrick, Tommy Fleetwood would be probably the emotional English sort of favorite to be able to do it. Tyrrell Hatton is on the Live Golf Tour and has played really good golf and has played good golf in majors. He's got the ball striking prowess to be able to do it, and I think would be still a very popular win. I think that they have a number of players that are at the top of the sport that are certainly capable of doing it. I think we get a little bit too far ahead of, they grew up here and they've got the experience to do it. Rory McIlroy's game, even though he grew up in Northern Ireland, is far more suited to play parkland, soft golf courses in the United States than it is to play links golf. Doesn't mean he's not capable of playing links golf, but I think we get a little bit too far ahead of saying, because these guys are from here, they're really good at it. Different games work in different places. But no, I think right now, with the absence of a true number one, and I say that somewhat tongue-in-cheek because Scotty Scheffler is the best golfer on the planet, and it's really not even close to second, but he's just not winning. He's not putting it all together for 72 holes. In the true absence of a dominant force, so you say that guy should win this week, there are enough Englishmen in the top 20 in the world that are playing really good golf that this could be a dream come true scenario and finally ease the drought that is now outside of 30 years.
Last one from me, Will. We're 5 weeks away from Live Golf calling Chatham Hills home for a second year. At least that's, I guess, the assumption on the morning of July 15th. Have you heard anything else, as Live Golf seems to be certainly on life support?
I have not heard any positive developments about something happening next month. Now, again, that is, secondhand sources from a variety of different angles. But from what, at least as of last week, nothing in terms of breaking ground. I think I said the same thing when we were talking at the U.S. Open, which was like, well, they still have a little bit of time to maybe get it done. Now it's to the point where your build-outs are going to be significantly smaller if you're not breaking ground on anything. And I'm not even sure, how much has even been paid out of stuff that was promised last year. So, when it's whether it happens or not, I know a lot of people here locally want to maybe go back to that tournament. It was a great turnout for Central Indiana golf fans last year to be able to do it. It is wild to me that a golf organization or a golf tour that is as large as it has been with the number of players, you can't commit. You don't know if there's a tournament happening in 5 weeks. That to me is absolute insanity. And, I'll go full opinion and talk show host mode here. It's an absolute clown show of what Liv has been doing. And it's, now when all of a sudden the money tap gets turned off, you sort of see what the reality of the situation is. But I feel bad for all my friends in Westfield. I feel bad for my friends at Chatham Hills to sort of be almost, waiting to see what's going to happen when you're expecting this thing to fly for the second straight year after really showing out in a big way last year.
Again, that is the voice of Will Haskett, PGA Tour Radio, amongst other mics you can find him in front of. Always enjoy when he's filling in on these airwaves as well. Will, hopefully it's not, 9 months till we chat again on these airwaves. Always enjoy our chats, and hope you're getting out and hitting the white little ball a little bit.
I'll try to. It's a little sweaty to hit it, but we'll try to get on the links after watching all this coffee golf, as you call it. Nothing better than waking up and having major championships on in the morning.
Nothing better than that. Will Haskett right there on the hotline. Speaking of, I guess it's not really been coffee soccer necessarily. Sometimes in the World Cup you do get coffee soccer, but especially if it's, over in the other hemisphere. Can we go World Cup every 2 years?
Is that where you're at?
That's where I'm at. I want World Cup every 2 years. Now, I'm anti-expanding it to 64. And I get it. People are going to say, oh, man, look at this. You're just picking and choosing what you want here. Every 2 years for the World Cup. You can take 6 months off after it. No qualifying. Have a nice little intense 12-month qualifying period. Hell, if you're going to expand it at all, the qualifying doesn't really matter anymore. Doesn't matter that much. And then you obviously don't do any qualifying the 6 months until the World Cup. Soccer purists going to slash my tires after the show, or?
I might beat him to it. I'm against it.
Really?
4 years. That's what makes it special. To me, that's what makes the World Cup the World Cup. You got to wait. It's painful.
4 years.
And you got to build the drama. Yes. Same with the Olympics.
We go every two for the Olympics, winter and summer.
Well, granted, most of those athletes, I would argue, if not all of them, only participate in one of those Olympics.
Even the corrupt Federation of the Olympics said we're going to go every two.
That's different, though. You're
Mark,
not doing
come
like
on. You
winter
gotta
and
side
summer
with me
soccer.
here. Every two.
I'd be open to it.
Oh, that answer is that pick a side. Yes or no?
I'm more soccer, more better. Especially if you're getting internet. Like, I would like to see Messi again. We don't have to write off Messi and Ronaldo for the next 4 years. You see, we might see him back in 2.
What do you mean? The next 4 years? You've seen them for years. They're both one of them in his 40s, the other one's 39.
James. You know how old wrestlers are? They say one more match, one more World Cup. 2 years from now.
This from Caleb Boggs. Not possible. They have the Euros in between the World Cup. Thank you.
Oh, Euro. Yeah, Euros.
That does matter outside of Tevin Bowen's brain.
Comparing the Euros to the World Cups, like comparing Live Golf in Westfield to the Masters.
Well, honestly, you saying that might get you beat up if you were not in America.
Mark, thank you for that.
I'd be open to it.
I'm right on this.
But I do understand the Euro schedule, but still.
Euros, it's one continent. There's more continents than just Europe out there. Nobody bringing up Copa America?
Oh, my
God. The
gosh.
CONCACAF?
Yeah, exactly. CONCACAF would like a word. They're on line 1. Jamaica would like
this
a word.
This is blasphemy that you're spewing here on these airwaves.
With the Soccer Federation. Don't act like you're out there playing the world's game, over at Carroll Stadium or something, and you're some soccer purist, and it should be only every 4 years. We're going to need some change. Hell, aren't we changing everything else? We're changing March Madness. We're changing the college football playoff. Didn't we add a 7th playoff team?
Here's another argument that's probably better. Isn't the World Cup every 2 years because you have the Olympics anyway? So you want the World Cup and the Olympics the same year?
No. The Olympics for soccer is not real. It's a youth.
Oh my gosh.
No. Seriously, it's a youth tournament. It's 23 and under. Right?
Yeah, you're not getting pros on that.
Yeah.
You know what?
James over here, soccer expert, chiming in.
Captain FIFA over here.
Gosh.
Every 2 years,
By the way,
World
FIFA's so
Cup talk
corrupt that
is
they probably
goofy.
would do it every 2 years.
The
if they
Euros
could.
are massive overseas, almost as important as the World Cup to them.
Almost was the key phrase there. Almost was the key word there.
Hey, Kevin, aren't the majority of teams in the World Cup finals from Europe? Is that, you want to give an answer to that or no?
Like, people acting like the Euros are going to equate to the World Cup? That's blasphemy. That's like sitting here saying, like, oh, yeah, boy, this year the SEC championship is really going to be a big deal. No, it's what happened. Indiana and Miami played for the national championship. That's what really mattered. Does anybody remember who won the SEC championship this year in college football? No.
Oh, my gosh. That's not the same thing. Lord have mercy.
You still going back with your Olympic take, thinking it's the same thing?
This from another texter. I'm with Bowen on this one. James is just plain wrong. You know what? I might just block you. Jake.
Again, I don't want to expand it to 64. Then I feel like we're just passing out participation trophies to every team that can field a 11-man soccer squad out there. But every two for the World Cup.
You can at least watch the Women's World Cup next year. Get a little bit of gap there.
Are we still pretty good at that, or have we started to come back to the field?
I think it's kind of, well, I mean, I'm curious because it's kind of a bit of a transition period for the women's team because you had like Alex Morgan and Rapinoe and everything leave. So
Jill Ellis, our coach,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Today, 3:00, it will be Argentina. It will be England in that one. Hell, I'm cheering for England. I got all these European fans attacking me for the sanctity of the Euros over here. Unbelievable.
How dare you try to get your soccer vibe going a little bit more?
Gosh.
Shunned.
Just feel like they did what that guy in Fort Wayne did with his man region there is what they just tried to do to me.
The Euro purists were the bison and you were the
Stop
old man. You
this.
just got flipped in the air.
I did feel like that. We got a lot to get to here on this morning check down, Mark. We got an I Gotta Know from Mark Dykton upcoming as well, but let's go ahead and set the scene for a busy day in sports.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by Suave Men Refreshing Face and Body Wash on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Sounds like some people want to wash my mouth out with that Suave body wash.
You need some
after my
Vegemite to wash your mouth out
comment
with.
just there. Well, I guess not Vegemite. All we care about is Europeans. We don't even want to cater to those down under here in the World Cup
What are we doing?
world. Let's go in chronological order for today. 3:00, Argentina, England. From Atlanta. I don't know much, but there is some rich, I think, history between these two countries on a World Cup stage. The hand of God, Diego Maradona. Is that right, Mark?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, back in the day. So should be juicy on several levels here. Coming up as Spain will await the winner of today's match. It was 2-0 yesterday, and Mark Dykton, I hate to say it, but I don't really. Boy, your French squad didn't really look very good at all.
No, I was wee-weeing all the way home. It's like, that was not good. Oi. That's what I said a lot of the times yesterday. Yeah, that was disappointing. But Spain came to play, and they had them on their heels. And, yeah, France did not look like the powerhouse that they have been the entire tournament.
No, not at all. Not at all. 3:30 today, if you want to dabble in some local hardwood action, if maybe you're a Purdue basketball fan. Braden Smith, Trey Kaufman-Renn sharing the floor together out there in the Summer League. Kaufman-Renn did have 10 and 6 for the T-Wolves the other day off the bench, so it is the second to last game for the Pacers Summer League. Again, it is 3:30 today out there in Vegas. And then tonight, James, 8:00, Fever and Valkyries. For those that don't know much about the Golden State Valkyries, they're one of the better teams in the league, one of the more balanced teams in the league.
Yeah, I think that they're another team that is contending for, a championship. And so I believe if the Fever are able to knock them off, it will send a message to the rest of the WNBA to say, hey, despite all of the noise around our team, we're still very good at basketball. And so as crazy as it sounds, Kevin, if they're able to close this thing out into the All-Star break on a winning streak, the conversation around the Fever changes a lot.
So we will await the status on Gabby Williams, Golden State's leading scorer. She's questionable for tonight.
Got a back contusion.
Yeah, with Caitlin Clark, it's okay. What's the minutes restriction for her if there is indeed going to be one? Again, 4-game homestand for the Fever to conclude here the first half. It will be a back-to-back Friday and Saturday. That's an 8 o'clock tip tonight here inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Major League Baseball All-Star Game came and went, and if you didn't watch one inning, consider yourself lucky. That was a dud.
Do you think
They should move the Major League Baseball All-Star Game to every 10 years after last night's performance?
Were you due for that letdown after how electric the World Cup, the home run derby was?
I mean, I guess, but I don't know. I just feel like at some point you're going to get shutouts in the All-Star Game. Usually it's like there's too much scoring.
Yeah.
There's not enough defense. But I guess to Mark's point, this is the closest thing you get to a real game, right?
Yeah. I'm also kind of curious how it would have gone had like some of the NL flamethrowers been available to throw, like Skeens and Mizorowski had just pitched not too long before the All-Star. So they weren't going to pitch yesterday. So like would have been even more of a pitcher's duel if those guys were able to throw. I'm curious.
First shutout since 2013, AL 4, NL 0. ESPYs tonight, the Indiana football program up for best team of the year. Part of me that thinks USA Hockey should probably get that in an Olympic year, but if not, I think Indiana football should certainly get it. Fernando Mendoza, maybe best college athlete or like breakthrough athlete. I'm trying to think of some of the other awards. They don't do a coach, which is a bit odd to me, but Kurt Signetti should easily be the winner of that. So if you want to dabble in a little ESPYs action, you've got that coming up tonight. Other sporting events, again, Coffee Golf starting tomorrow, the Open Championship from Royal Birkdale, the final golf major of the year. IndyCar in Nashville, that is the super speedway down there. They will then take the next week off, and it'll be a busy August, first week of September for IndyCar here. And IU basketball, they will play an exhibition game coming up tonight inside of Assembly Hall. So no TV or radio for this game, but Darren DeVries' bunch is taking a foreign tour to Peru. They will actually represent Team USA on this foreign tour. And in preparation for that, they'll play an exhibition game. I believe it's a team from Canada coming up tonight. One thing to point out about Indiana in this foreign tour, the SMU transfer. Remember the 7'2" guy? We've tried to pronounce his name.
Yeah.
From Turkey. I felt like you had mastered it at some point there.
Yeah, I'd have to go look up his name again.
Well, you do that. He's from Turkey, so unfortunately he is unable to play on the foreign tour. He is able to play tonight. So, again, for those maybe in the Bloomington area or want to check that out in person, you will be able to see that tonight down there in Assembly Hall as Indiana gets prepared for that. Purdue will go to Canada for their foreign tour upcoming. And we mentioned in the opening hour, pretty rare to say you got a Purdue program getting ready to play a season where they return just one starter. But that's
crazy too. Yeah.
CJ Cox is it. Oscar Clough's playing for the Rockets here in the Summer League. I saw Tucker DeVries bang home a couple threes yesterday for the Celtics.
Yeah, I never thought that he was really healthy last year either, Tucker DeVries, or maybe even the same player after the shoulder stuff. So good to see him out there getting some things done. But I also think that it was pretty important for IU to go out and get some legit big men. So
can I share with you an early bracketology?
Feel free.
Has the dust settled on the portal? Are we done?
I was going to say, I think so, but
so.
You never know. There could be an injunction in your local, chambers.
Yeah, I laugh, but because I would cry if the other emotion came out. Purdue a 4 seed, according to Joe Lenardi in bracketology. Care to guess a seed for Indiana? Well, I guess we probably should say, do you believe Indiana's in the tournament?
I'm going to say that they're an 11 seed.
Indiana an 11. Mark, you care to throw a seed number on an expanded NCAA tournament for the Indiana Hoosiers? Purdue a 4, according to Joe Lenardi, heading into the season. Again, we're up to 76 teams in the tournament this year.
A seed number?
Yes. So where do you think Joe Lenardi has him in his very, very early summer degenerate? That thing probably gets more clicks than 98% of the things on ESPN's website.
About a 13.
Wow, jeez. 7 seed.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Joe
okay.
Lenardi.
Well, let you know how I feel about the program.
I know.
On the Indiana Hoosiers there in an early bracketology here.
They know that Marcus Burton is coming.
Marcus Burton, baby. Gosh, man. I didn't see Notre Dame in the bracketology, for those curious. I did a couple scrolls.
First 4 out is what it says.
Just to make sure. I thought maybe that next 4 out mark was kind of where I was hoping for, but maybe a misprint, you know. It's a long.
Is it first 4 out still? Or is it like first dozen out at this point?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, yeah, might as well have everybody in there. All right, coming up, and I got to know from the brain of Mark Dykton. We'll talk a little college football, 9 o'clock hour. We're getting closer. Media days abound. Training camp's about to start for that. So, a lot to look forward to here in the final 90 on this Wednesday morning. The weather update from Amber Hardwick, probably just saying it's hot.
Well,
Oh, not that one.
A heat advisory is in effect between noon and 8 p.m. today. Mostly sunny and muggy with a high of 93 degrees. Heat index may rise around 100 this afternoon. I'm Fox 59 meteorologist Amber Hardwick for The Fan.
Was this a World Cup anthem?
This one not particularly, but she did have the World Cup anthem, and my daughters have been more intrigued. Tell us more about Shakira. What's she about? I'm like, well, she's got that Zootopia song. Like, oh, okay. And they want to hear more songs all of a sudden.
I think that'll be on my top 5 most played for 2026, the Zootopia one.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Mine too. Yep, it's up there.
Mark's like, well, let me tell you about her hips.
Would you like to watch the videos? I know I sure would.
And we're banned from our show Twitter account for the next 3 months. Probably what'll happen. I didn't realize this many people would be fired up about changing the World Cup to every 2 years.
Oh
You're pissing a lot of people off this morning.
I'm just glad Mark and I are on an island together with this.
Mm-hmm.
This day and age of sports and entertainment, we're really waiting 4 years? 4 years?
But isn't the Women's World Cup in 2 years?
No, next year. Women's World Cup's next year.
Yeah.
So start staggering them both. Women's and men's.
Oh, my gosh.
What? It's like the same players.
You have free will. You can wake up and watch more soccer if you want to during the Premier League and during the Euros.
Do
and stuff
not
like that.
compare these. Have you seen these countries react to the World Cup?
Yes. I have you seen people react to the Euros? I'm serious.
Well, again, the Euros is different than the Premier League.
Well, that's fair. But like the Euros, Kevin,
It's the
I
same
feel like
thing
you
in
saying that would
professional
get you beat
sports.
up in Europe if you said that out loud.
The World Baseball Classic. You just watched whatever. You watch a team win the World Series, and then you go watch the Venezuelan team celebrate the World Baseball Classic. Hell, watch how our NBA players reacted to the Olympics this past year.
I think that's because it's every 4 years.
Every 2 years. We need it. We need it. Logistical of the Euros. I saw someone on the text line said, well, just don't invite Europe. Okay, well, maybe that's how the U.S.
We might win. We might win then.
Maybe that's how the U.S. starts to advance further.
I see. Oh, I see what you're doing.
Mark, let's get to an I Gotta Know.
He's got questions.
How about a game?
They've got answers.
Hey, I'm more of a cornhole man myself.
Sports, music, movies. What? High fashion.
That Hansel's so hot right now.
And everything in between.
Have you ever seen a foot with 4 toes?
It's time to get a glimpse into the mind of Mark Dykton.
Stop it, you're scaring me.
It's time for I Gotta Know.
Okay, you two punks, I want a good, clean fight. Let's get it on.
All right, boys. Kevin stole my original Colts question about the banners now that Alec Pierce is sitting there. So we'll pivot a little bit. Do you care at all where LeBron is going this season? Even remotely?
I do care because I think where he goes could affect what the Pacers do or how far they go potentially in the playoffs. You know, if LeBron, it sounds like he's considering the Heat, Cleveland, and Philadelphia, but if there is a dark horse candidate out there, the Timberwolves, if he were to go west, I think that would be good for the Pacers.
What are there favorites here?
Yeah, from what Sham said, I think yesterday, the 3 that he said are kind of rising above the rest, I'm paraphrasing here, were Philly, Miami, and Cleveland.
See, I think Philly's going to be good.
But I think you're banking on Embiid and his health.
Okay, let's say Embiid is out. Let's say they get LeBron. LeBron, Jaylen Brown, VJ Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey. That's a team that could win a series or two.
Yeah, but I think the Pacers fry them.
You think the Pacers would fry that team in a series?
Well, I'm being dramatic here, but I think they beat them. I think they beat them because you didn't mention anybody in the post. And I think that's what you got Zubats for. I'm not saying he's going to average 20 and 10, but without Embiid in the equation, they don't scare me as much.
Well, I think that's a really talented bunch. Really talented bunch. Yeah, I mean, I guess I care, Mark, but I also don't want to act like LeBron just all of a sudden instantly. Like, I don't think like he's a difference between Philly, whether he joins them being a 5 seed and the 1 seed. I don't think. I mean, he's obviously a really good player still, but I don't think he shifts the hierarchy that much.
The most intriguing would be if he goes to Golden State, because it's kind of like the old guard, one last run there and that. But I feel like it's going to go to Cleveland. He's going to do one last dance in Cleveland, and that'll be it. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, Golden State is like entertaining, but they won't be good or great.
Yeah, they'd have to make another major move.
I mean, they're not beating Oklahoma City or San Antonio.
No,
in 7
but they'd
years.
you'd want to watch.
Again, entertaining, but in terms of legit playing into May or June, I can't say that.
I just don't know if you can marry your championship aspirations, assuming that's what LeBron's trying to do here, is win another one with Joel Embiid in his knees.
All right, you can redo something in Indiana sports that occurred in the last calendar year. What are you redoing?
Wow.
Seems like a spinoff on your What If series.
I know.
Well, I mean, am I speaking as a fan?
You're speaking as Kevin Bowen.
Well, Notre
Put
Dame.
the fan hat on, put on whatever you want.
Well, I'll be heavily biased here and say Notre Dame in the college football playoff.
Well, I think the obvious answer.
Now, people are going to say Daniel Jones' Achilles, right?
I was going to say within the last calendar year.
Oh, I thought you said last year.
July 15th, 2025 to July 15th, 2026.
Oh, okay. Well, that will put Halliburton out of it then.
That's why I did it.
June.
Because I feel like that would be the easy one.
Okay, nice. That was good. Well, yeah, I think it definitely would have to be Daniel Jones and the Achilles just to see what's possible. I think that's what also annoys me about the Tyrese thing, too, not to kind of flirt with both ideas, Mark, but just injuries in general, when they happen, you're always stuck kind of with like, okay, but what if they didn't? And how differently would the Colts conversation be if they had a healthy Daniel Jones? Are we talking about a team that made a playoff appearance, perhaps won a playoff game, or whatever the case may be? I think the conversation is changed a lot with the healthy Daniel Jones.
You know, some might say if Caitlin Clark was healthy for last year's run, which would have fallen in that window, Mark.
Yeah.
You know, they were a game away without her. You know, what could that have been, you know, with her? Because they had a slew of other, injuries, obviously, as well.
Heck, what if Anthony Richardson didn't have the eye injury?
Yeah.
The perfect opportunity for him to redeem himself last year.
I'm redoing the Sauce Gardner trade. I think it was a huge overpay.
Okay.
I don't think they needed to do it. I think a lot of dominoes fell because of that trade, because now you don't have the first two first-round picks last year and this year, and in 2027. I think that was a huge domino that fell, because at that point they're in win now mode, and then you see like now they're backing up the Brinks truck for Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce. If that trade doesn't get done and they still have the second half, but they have the first-round picks, are they re-signing both of those guys?
Yeah, that's a good one.
So I would do that.
That's good.
All right, what are we watching this weekend? I saw Quarterback Season 3 has started off. I don't know if you guys have watched the Quarterback series.
Yeah, I
I'm
actually
intrigued
watched
by it,
it.
though.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it, Mark. Yeah, I've always thought, he wasn't here for that long, but I always thought Flacco was relatively interesting. And I think his career is that as well. I get he's not super household, but yeah, I plan to dabble a little bit more into that here coming up.
I've been watching House of Dragons, and boys, I'm confused. I'm through the second episode of season 3, but season 2 was 2 years ago. Like I told you all, I tried to watch one of those recap videos, but I think the names is what always confuses me. Aegon, Aemon, there's a lot of overlap with the names, and I can't keep track of who's who.
Can we have a Steve here?
Yeah, but I'm like, all right, well, there's a dragon. You should probably not be in the vicinity of that one when it's blowing the fire. So, yeah, I've tried to follow, but I'm a little confused. It's entertaining. It's dramatic, but, yeah, I don't know whose side necessarily to be on. I'm just watching and vibing out.
The Odyssey. I really want to see that movie. I've heard it's very hard to go see on 70 millimeter, so I think the IMAX at the State Museum probably has it. But I've heard like it is super in demand, but I would love to see it.
Mark, I looked into trying to get some tickets, and that place is booked out through the end of the month.
Really?
Yeah, at least to see it at the IMAX. Now you can see it at other places, but selfishly, I'm like, I want to experience it like everybody else. And I didn't know people plan their lives that far in advance when it came to movies. Because I looked probably like 3 weeks ago, and it still was sold out.
I saw an article about a woman who was putting off trying to have a baby because the Odyssey was coming out. Is that
okay?
Is
That's
for
a
real?
little crazy.
Stop that.
Yeah. All right.
Like we can't
That
line
can't
this
be
up
real.
because we have to go
Is
see
this
the Odyssey.
the same article where you read Mike Carney, the NFL official, attended Travis Kelce's
Actually,
wedding?
now that you mention it, no, it was an article about she's like, we want to have kids, but we're putting it off so we can go see the Odyssey. I'm like, that seems a bit nerdy. Like that kid's in trouble.
Yeah, I feel like that's gonna not end well. The water's gonna break as soon as you sit down with the popcorn.
Yeah.
This is like when I judge the parents, KB, when they bring their kids to the game 2 weeks after they've been born. That's the only time I ever feel judgmental as a non-parent. Do better. Don't bring your kids around all those germs. Similac still on them.
You and the Similac. James doesn't know much about babies, but what he does is a Similac, and he brings that up regularly.
You'd be an endorser for Similac. I just can't believe how expensive it is.
Oh, it's just insane. I know. I do see the. I'm like, that baby's brand new. That baby's
brand new baby.
Still got the hospital bands on.
Right.
Are you going headphones on the baby?
You have
I think
to,
you
right?
should.
Yeah. I think if you're doing that, it's fine.
All right.
Build an immune system.
That's right.
You know?
You're saying that as someone who did not do what you're advocating for them to do.
Well, once you get the third kid, it's like, all right.
And Nelly, you're up.
We're up against it. That's it.
Thank you, Mark Dyken, for that. We'll do a little college football chat. Scott Docterman going to join us coming up top of the hour. Back into the Colts on the other side. This is the Fan Morning Show.
This is the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen and James Boyd.
We'll talk a little college football coming up at the top of the 9 o'clock hour. James, I'm sure you're kind of in the same boat. I'm starting to do, some preview stories coming up for Colts training camp and things like that. And, I've gotten into the story I do each year, and it takes me several days to do it. It's 53 questions on the Colts. And I'm in the midst of writing that. And one of the questions I've got to is just, and I think I've shared with you before, I think Latu is the most important player on the Colts roster this season, not named Daniel Jones. I just think he's vital to, if you want to play meaningful football in January, Latu's got to be a dude.
Ooh, okay.
He's got to be a guy that honestly you think about wanting to put on the side of the building. Like he's got to get to that level for you. And I'm starting to go through the defensive end position, and I'm like, am I missing something? So Latu has 12 and a half sacks in his 2 years. Okay,
right.
So it's 12 and a half sacks in 33 games. The only other two guys I'm seeing with sacks are Arden Key, 30 and a half career sacks in 116 games.
Okay.
So do the math on that. That's what, one sack every fourth game. And then Michael Clemens came over from the Jets this offseason, 8 sacks in 65 career games. So you're telling me Jalen Tuimoloau, by the way, didn't have a sack last year in his 13
no
game
sacks, no starts
rookie season. So you're telling me right now your DN depth chart has Latu, put him to the side.
Okay.
And then an Arden Key who's had 1 sack every 4th game, and Michael Clemens who's had 1 sack every 8th game in his career. Playing for the Jets and the Titans largely, those two?
Yeah. But it's by committee. So, you never know who could strike one.
I mean,
I'm saying that tongue in cheek.
It just was a reminder to me of
how bleak it looks.
Oh my gosh. And I remember when they signed Arden Key, it has to be a move at defensive end, not
you really hammered
move.
that point. Yes.
And here we are 4 months later, it was the move at defensive end. It really was Trey Hendrickson or bust at that spot this year. You almost look at that and you think, wow, George Gums Jr. round 5, Caden Curry round 6, come on down. If you show something, you could push for some time. There's just no proven production at defensive end.
No, and I think the word you use there is spot on, proven. That's what I've written over and over again throughout the spring heading into the summer, that the only proven starting defensive end you have on your roster is Latu, who you still would like to see more from, to be frank. But also, on top of that, I think Mark really hammered this point home earlier, not just in the show, but just throughout the offseason in general. Where was the contingency plan? You went after Trey Hendrickson, and you didn't get him. And you could argue that there were some crazy circumstances. If the Max Crosby trade goes through to Baltimore, does he end up there? Probably not. Does he end up here? Possibly. But to not really have a backup plan, that's what probably stings the most here, in my opinion, with this group, because it kind of just seemed like, all right, well, we put our eggs in one basket. We dropped that basket on the way to the grocery store, on the way home from the grocery store, and here we are with nothing to show for it. So you're really betting a lot on not just Latu stepping up and becoming a dude, which he has to become. You did spend a first-round pick on him. But Jalen Tuimoloau, who ain't played. And you're telling us, from the defensive coordinator to the head coach to the D-line room, oh, yeah, Jalen Tuimoloau is going to be a factor this year. Don't sleep on him. Chris Ballard telling us at the owners' meetings, hey, don't overlook this guy. What is there to overlook when he did nothing last year? No disrespect to him. If he makes a jump this year, let's just be honest about this. Scale of 1 to 10, Kevin, how do you feel about Jalen Tuimoloau becoming a proven starter this year?
I think Arden Key starts. I mean, Arden, every time we were out there in the spring, it was Arden Key.
I agree.
So I don't.
But I'm asking that because with Arden Key, I feel like he's plateaued. We know exactly who he's going to be. Odds of Jalen Tuimoloau out, becoming a guy, like even a rotational guy.
Right. Now, I mean, obviously, it's a position group where you rotate a lot, so
Yeah.
like you don't necessarily have to be some 3-down, 70 snap guy every game to impact. You can impact as a rusher, but right now, I mean, it's 1,000% in the he has to prove it stage.
Yeah,
like because
this
occasionally
is a second round pick we're talking about though.
With some rookie like Latu. I mean, Latu had a few sacks as a rookie. I think it was 4 or something.
Yeah,
but like there was some flat. There were flat. Like I don't remember really many, if any, flashes from Tuimoloau. And it's not like Samson Ebukam or Tyquan Lewis or even Kwity Paye above him were just like, the second comings of Lawrence Taylor to where you couldn't push your playing time. I was just struck by, again, I'm scrolling through it. I'm like, am I forgetting someone at defensive end?
Oh, no.
Like Latu not only needs to take the jump, he's got to stay healthy. I mean, you would put him on an indispensable list too.
Yeah.
Just given the nature of that group. We'll get more to the Colts a little bit later in the 9 o'clock hour. We'll talk some college football, though, on the other side. We're getting closer. Media days abound. Training camps nearing. Scott Docterman from The Athletic joins us next.
This is the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen and James Boyd.
I've always said there's nothing crazier than college football and all the antics that come with it. We're in media day season right now across some of the conferences, already beginning that. Training camps on the horizon, a little over a month away from another anticipated college football season awaiting us. And talk more about it, you've heard him on these airways before. We appreciate his time. From The Athletic, Scott Docterman joins us here on the hotline. Scott, was the best offseason story in college football 87-year-old Tom Moore going back to Iowa?
I think it's a great story, and I hope to be able to talk to him here in another month or so. I think, you're talking about a guy who played in the 50s and, has coached. I mean, he's like the Forrest Gump of college sport or of pro football, and now he's going all the way back to his roots. So, just an amazing story there. And I mean, considering Kirk Ferentz is the dean of coaches, so he's going into year 28, and he's still, 16 years younger than Tom Moore. It's pretty incredible.
Again, that is the voice of Scott Docterman at The Athletic, helps cover college football for us, also based in Iowa, if I'm not mistaken. So he has dealt with a lot of what I'm dealing with now regarding Caitlin Clark. Yeah. We'll get more into that perhaps later in the conversation. But, Scott, I'll start with this. A lot of the conversation, at least here locally, when the Brandon Swordsby stuff kind of happened, was, wait a second, that guy played at IU for a little while. What's going to happen? And we've seen how things have played out. It seems like he's not going to play college football. So from a grand perspective, he is or was perceived to be one of the better players in the sport. So without him, how does that affect maybe the hierarchy of the college football landscape, especially when it comes to Texas Tech?
Yeah, it really impacts the Big 12, I would say, because Texas Tech bought themselves a championship last year and in the Big 12 and was able to get to the Orange Bowl where they were shut out by Oregon. And Texas Tech did the same thing this year and has a really good team by Big 12 standards. However, it was built a lot around him. And if he was there, they would easily be the favorite, probably with BYU a close second. However, now you start to wonder, can they, without a good quarterback necessarily, somebody, right now they're looking at a guy who's a transfer from Tulsa, Kirk Francis, and I don't know that he's even in the upper half of the Big 12. So you start to wonder, can the Big 12 even have more than one team in the playoff or even in that conversation, and how would they perform? So I think this really impacts Texas Tech. It also continues probably to further the Big 12's challenges of gaining legitimacy in a sport that's increasingly dominated by the Big Ten and SEC.
Again, Scott Docterman with us here on the hotline. You mentioned that, Scott, sport increasingly, dominated by the Big Ten, the SEC. You hear this floated around, particularly in the offseason, about a potential for a Super League at some point. And what if Ohio State, whatever, dials up Georgia or Texas or et cetera, and says, why don't we just kind of break off and do our own thing? How realistic do you think that Super League is? And if you've thought about it to that extent, what do you think the configuration of such a league would even look like?
I don't think it is today because the Big Ten and SEC operate like their own little kingdoms, and they're not willingly going to give up that type of stake. And I'll say this for the Big Ten. I mean, there's a lot of equity in the Big Ten name and brand. It's been around for 130 years. It's the oldest conference. These schools have pledged their, for more than a century, they've pledged their allegiance to each other as much as to the league. And the SEC is kind of the same way. I mean, you go to a postseason game in basketball or football, and if one of those teams wins, you get that obnoxious SEC chant. So I think the schools are proud of their leagues. They want to stay in their leagues. But it's hard to predict what the future may hold in, say, 10 years, because so much has changed radically that there may be a little bit more of a push from maybe some of the bluer bloods that why should we be dragging around some teams that maybe aren't pulling their own weight financially. And that could be something that spurs it. But I think that's probably 10 years down the road. it's hard to say what the configuration would be right now in the Power 5. Or Power 4, I should say. There's 68 schools. I think you could probably cut that number by 2/3 and get it into a reasonable amount of the Super League. But then again, I mean, these relationships have been around so long, and there's so much equity in the SEC and Big Ten names for sure, that I just don't quite see it happening. But I could be completely wrong on this and say 2036.
Again, that is the voice of Scott Docterman, works with me over at The Athletic, covers college football for us on that platform. Scott, looking at IU, obviously they're coming off the national championship riding high, but they're turning over a new leaf without having Fernando Mendoza at quarterback. So incoming is Josh Hoover from TCU. What can you tell us about that quarterback and perhaps what he could do with Curt Cignetti, who seems to always get the best out of whichever quarterback he has?
Yeah, I like this match a lot with Josh Hoover. He was very productive last year at TCU, threw for almost 3,500 yards, 29 touchdowns, and in some ways he reminds me a little bit more of a stronger-armed Curtis Rourke, as opposed to Mendoza was so special and elite in so many different areas that you can't really make that comparison. But the one thing we've noticed with Curt Cignetti over the years, not just at IU but James Madison and going all the way back to his other schools, is he does make quarterbacks better. And the turnovers that Josh Hoover had, 13 interceptions at TCU, I would expect that number to get cut in half, because the one thing that stood out to me I covered 5 IU games last year is not only did they have really good talent, but they were so fundamentally sound and well coached. I mean, they were at the very top of the list in that department, where in some areas maybe they were not as talented as their opponents. Certainly against Ohio State, I would say that would be the case, but yet fundamentally and mechanically so sound that I thought that was the difference maker. And I think that's what you're going to see here with Josh Hoover stepping into that role. And when you look at what IU has around him, they still return the best offensive lineman in the country, and Carter Smith at left tackle. Charlie Becker came up with more big catches that I've seen by one individual receiver in a long time, and he wasn't even a starter to start the season. And then Nick Marsh coming from Michigan State, where he was vastly underutilized those 2 years. Last year, he kind of disappeared because Michigan State didn't have anything to get him the ball. I think that IU is going to be nearly as potent offensively, and they still have the guts of a really good defense. I was putting together my preseason All Big Ten team, and they still have elite players up and down, at all 3 levels on defense. So this team's not going anywhere. It's going to be very, very competitive, not only for a playoff, but another Big Ten championship and a deep run into the playoff.
Yeah, I think that D-line is their best position group. They got some edge guys in the transfer portal, returned some of those interior guys that played pretty good football for them this season. So I think that's a position group not to be slept on either. Again, Scott Docterman chatting some college football with us here on this Wednesday morning. We've heard from Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti. He's pretty adamant about the 24 team playoff, whereas, universally, some others, particularly in the SEC, maybe not as gung-ho about that. Is it simply for Tony about, hey, we've got all these teams, I want to get more of them into the dance so they're happier? Is that kind of pure, or is there certainly a financial component to it? Why do you feel like he's so adamant about that?
He has looked at it from the perspective that it's better to keep more teams available for the prize later in the season than making it more of an exclusive club. And part of it is, as these conferences have grown, the Big Ten is now 18 teams, and the schedules are so radically different. You look at Ohio State's schedule, it's the most difficult schedule I've ever seen in Big Ten history, the teams that they play. And they could be a 10-2 or 9-3 team and be just on the edge of the playoff and still be the best team in the country, come mid to late January. And I think there are other teams in that ballpark where one schedule is so difficult, the others aren't. And he's looking at it from that perspective, that when you get into late November, you want your teams competing for the opportunity to go to the playoff, not go to the Music City Bowl. And last year, I did a lot of research into this and just to see kind of how this worked out. And, with 3 weeks to go in the regular season, there were 35 Power 4 conference teams that had that had 3 losses or less. And yet, with only 12 going to the postseason, and 2 of them were based in the group of 6, then 25 of those teams really had no avenue to get to the playoff, even if they would have won out, which a few did. And so you're saying that the 75% of your season matters, but the final 25% doesn't. And you look at the byproduct of what that means for some of these games. Let's take the penultimate week this year. You have Illinois and Iowa, who are 2 teams that were on the periphery the last handful of years on the playoff. And if it's a 7-3 Iowa and a 7-3 Illinois, that game means a whole lot more with the playoff at stake, as opposed to, which one's going to go to Tampa and which one's going to go to Charlotte in a bowl game. And so I think that's kind of what he's looking at, is to kind of involve everybody. I talked to Ryan Day about this topic, and he said, you can make the case for us that it's not really in our best interest, but it is for our league. And largely across the board, the conferences are coming aboard, and I think the SEC is slower to embrace it. However, at least half of the schools have decided that that's the path they want to go in, and because even some of the administrators look at it as, we can give a little more rope to our coaches. Brian Kelly and James Franklin were fired last year after their 3rd loss. Well, 3rd loss would not put you out of a playoff in a 2014 playoff. So it could be a cheaper option that allows some of those talented teams that have slipped up early, maybe had a few injuries, maybe played a really difficult schedule, an opportunity to recoup that. So I expect it to happen. I'm not sure if it'll be next year or the year after, but I think in time it will go to 24 teams.
That is the voice of Scott Docterman, covers college football at The Athletic, and also listen to me vent about covering Caitlin Clark, who, to be clear, it is not her fault that the conversation around her is so crazy all the time, and it's probably gotten crazier, and that is where I'll kind of end it. Scott, do you think the narratives, the perceived perceptions of who Caitlin Clark is or isn't will ever be normal around her? Because there are times where I seriously think, man, the only normal person talking about Caitlin Clark is Caitlin Clark.
You're absolutely right, James. It's really sad and somewhat devastating to the people here in Iowa who have been just loyal beyond words, supportive of her. The majority, and the vast majority, have been very, very good and supportive. There has been some people who have, Velcroed their way onto her image and turned it into something that she is absolutely 100% not, which is they try to make her into, a figure. I don't want to get too deep into that part, but I think that, Caitlin is brilliant. She's always handled herself so well publicly, and I hate the fact that she's become a figure on 2 different sides and be very divisive and polarizing, when that is really not who she is. She's everything that you see up close, James, is the same thing we saw, except a lot less varnished in Iowa. She was very accommodating of people, wonderful to deal with, always inclusive with no matter who the audience was, by race, gender, background, sexual orientation. She was just absolutely supportive of everybody. And it's really sad to see the commentary go to this direction, because when she was selected by the Indiana Fever, everybody in Iowa became Fever fans. I mean, people you would not even imagine bought the WNBA app. They were so excited. And to see the online conversation shift, and to see kind of what she's had to deal with physically on the court, has turned people to the point of, I don't know if I can watch this anymore. I want to watch her. She's my favorite athlete ever. And that goes for, 80-year-old men and 10-year-old girls. And yet they're just, they've had it. And I hear it's like, I can't watch this anymore. And so it's it's a really sad thing because this was the excitement was off the charts. People just forgot their allegiances to the Cubs and Cardinals for the WNBA, and now they're sitting here going, I just can't do this anymore.
But the only thing crazier than college football discourse is probably that around Caitlin Clark. So I guess fitting that you hit both here in this conversation. Scott, great stuff. Thank you as always. I know it's a bit of a quiet time until the madness truly begins. But again, in the world of college football, it's seemingly 12 months out of the year. So thank you for the time on this Wednesday morning.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys.
That's Scott Docterman right there on the hotline. You think we'll ever get a little Super League action in college football?
I think so, because you're basically asking me, will people do whatever is possible to make the most money? Yes.
Yeah, that's a very simple and probably smart way to put it. I do think it would be fascinating. Let's just play this out. You take the top, 6 teams from the Big Ten, SEC, pluck Clemson, pluck Notre Dame, pluck Texas Tech. I don't know. Get to 16.
Okay.
You play a 12-game schedule, obviously. Somebody's got to go 3-9.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to go 4-8. Those programs ain't used to doing that. Those fan bases ain't used to that. Like
I see your eyes getting bigger as you say this. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the money's obvious. Duh. But the humbling nature for those fan bases, are you still emptying the pockets? NIL-wise?
Good question. Yeah.
That I think is a huge unknown in the Super League thought. Yeah, I mean, read off a schedule. Can you imagine, Georgia playing the normal SEC opponents, and then you say, oh, yeah, you're also playing Ohio State, and you're going to go play Michigan, you're going to go play Notre Dame, you're going to go play Indiana, you're going to play Texas Tech. I mean, yeah, those schedules, you salivate it.
Yeah.
What, you mean I don't have to watch Georgia play Mercer? Regular season schedule, it's 12 golden weeks, but the sustainability of those fan bases, if your team is not near the top of that, that's a definition of humbling.
That's a fair way to look at it. And selfishly, Kevin, I know so much has changed even in the last decade or so with college sports, but the rivalries, the tradition, the further we move away from that, the more nostalgic and probably upset I get about it, just because I think that is so much the backbone of why we love college sports.
Yeah, and two other things, and it's probably deserving of a bigger topic someday, James, but if you play that out, I just said, okay, take the top, 6 teams from the Big Ten, SEC, or brands, however you want to define it. What does that mean for Purdue? What does that mean for Minnesota? What does that mean for – does Iowa make the cut? What is it – those programs I'd have one question about. And then the other, what pro sport fan bases hold on to. The Chicago Bulls are feeling this right now with Caleb Wilson. You have the light at the end of the tunnel of the draft pick.
Right.
The Raiders got Fernando Mendoza.
Mm-hmm.
In the Super League of college athletics, that's not the case. If you're the worst team in the Super League, that doesn't mean you go get Monchon Sales next year, no questions asked.
Right. That's a good point you made.
The rich get richer in college athletics quite often when it comes to recruiting. So if we ever got there, I think those bridges and crossing those bridges would be quite different than professional sports.
One last note I'll make, Kevin, whether it's a Super League or something else, I am curious to see if and when college athletics will sort of stabilize. Because it's in such a...
It's about the last word I'd use for it.
I know, but at some point, do you think we'll ever get there?
Oh, man, I hope.
I feel like I'm laying on the couch now and kind of venting all my problems about college sports, but I'm just not sure. How do you sustain this thing and stabilize it? Because at some point, things have to get solidified, I think. I don't know, though.
It's funny you say it because I almost asked Scott the question of, he talks to so many people in college football. If you threw out hey, you can have one rule implemented tomorrow, what would you want implemented? Yeah. But when I was asking Scott that question in my head, I thought of 5 different things. And I'm like, I'm not trying to overwhelm Scott here on this Wednesday morning.
Right.
Again, that's a question that deserves 8 minutes of conversation, not, a quick question, try to move on to the next topic. So we are getting closer to college football season. I think Big Ten Media Days on the horizon here. And again, I know that defensive line in Bloomington, I think that's a group that we'll talk a whole lot about here upcoming this season. Speaking of Bloomington, they do have an activity down there tonight. We'll hit that amongst others in this morning checkdown.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Well, the man created a World Cup draft pool so he could finally win something on this show, and instead, we all the way home.
I'm a giver. I wanted to give James a victory, and I wanted you to feel good about yourself. I'm a good man.
The spin cycle over the course of 2 hours and 20 minutes on this show, quite interesting. Again, I'll be there Saturday for the third place game. I just hope Mbappe's healthy and ready to play 90.
Me too. I hope so.
France losing 2-0 yesterday. It's Mark Dykens' French team.
Oui.
Boyd getting the last laugh there. Spain winners of that one. I told you guys in the opening segment, they said on the broadcast, Spain has not lost in 37 straight matches right before they scored their first goal. I was like, wow, is this just like the one seed in the NCAA tournament we haven't paid attention to? Like all this talk about France is like Spain is great. And we saw that on full display yesterday.
I think what Mark said earlier is probably the reason why we haven't heard as much talk about Spain is that they don't really have that star player. Not that they don't have star players, to be clear, but that star player that kind of transcends sports where globally you kind of know who they are, like the Ronaldo, like the Messi, like Mbappe. But nevertheless, they got it done. They're into the final.
So upcoming today, they will await the winner of Argentina and England. Messi has never faced England in the World Cup. Can't wait. Some rich history between these two. Obviously, defending champs in Argentina, they have survived and advanced throughout this tournament. And England, 7 quarterfinal appearances in their World Cup history, but only one time in the finale. 3 Lions. Let's go today. I'm all in on England. 3 o'clock from Atlanta. 3:30 today in Vegas. Pacers Summer League game number 4. We'll see if Braden Smith can bounce back. It's been a rough shooting stretch for him out there. He'll face his former college teammate today, Trey Kaufman-Renn, who did have 10 and 6 off the bench the other day for the Timberwolves. So again, that's at 3:30. And James, tonight, Fever and Valkyries. This is a good matchup. Really good matchup.
This should be a great matchup. The Valkyries have won 7 straight. They're ranked number 1 in ESPN's WNBA Power Rankings. I saw the latest one actually had the Fever leapfrogging the Aces after their beatdown of the defending champions. And so to me, tonight is number 1, an opportunity to see where Caitlin Clark is with her back, will her minutes restriction be lifted, but also another opportunity for this team to say, hey, we're a championship contender too by knocking off the Valkyries.
So again, that's 8 o'clock tonight, back-to-back Friday, Saturday, one more home game next week. That'll conclude the first half of the season for a Fever team that has played better lately. Shout out to Kelsey Mitchell. 6 straight games with at least 25 points. That's the 3rd longest streak in the history of the W. The Fever have, frankly, one of the greatest players to ever play in this league, and that is Kelsey Mitchell. What else we got? I mentioned Bloomington tonight. Darren DeVries and company, they're hosting a Canadian college team in an exhibition game. This is ahead of their trip to Peru later this summer. No TV, no radio for this game, but if you're looking to watch Darren DeVries' very new look roster led by Marcus Burton there at point guard, you can do that tonight coming up at Assembly Hall. British Open this weekend. ESPYs are tonight. Someone mentioned earlier, reached out on the text line, Braylon Mullins is also up for Play of the Year, which makes total sense. That shot to send UConn to the Final Four there.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Did I tell you, I think I told you I was at the NFL owners meetings. We were sitting in the lobby and around a bunch of rich people who weren't watching that game, and I screamed so loud.
Yeah.
I was thinking, please don't escort me out of here.
I'm trying to think of the other plays I saw. Jack Hughes' goal, I think, was one of them. I don't think the Mendoza play was on there. I think the Caleb Williams play was one of them.
Oh, look at that, Mark. He was hating on me for bringing it up.
It was the only play of a losing team.
You know, hey, was it on there or not?
I did note that. Yeah. Good participation trophy for that one. Participation, I guess the NL participated in the All-Star game last night. You wouldn't have known watching it. Shutout by the AL, 4-0 on that. First shutout in the MLB All-Star game since 2013. We got a Colts question of the day to get to on the other side. Before that, Mark, weather update from Amber Hardwick.
A heat advisory is in effect between noon and 8 p.m. today. Mostly sunny and muggy with a high of 93 degrees. Heat index may rise around 100 this afternoon. I'm Fox 59 meteorologist Amber Hardwick for The Fan.
This is the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen and James Boyd.
So did I miss something? Seeing here throughout the Twitter sphere, Alex Golden's writing that LeBron might come to the Pacers. Am I seeing this correctly? I'm purely just looking at a headline here.
Correct.
Now, this is it. I guess, is there substance behind this, or is there?
I think it's because LeBron was going on Halliburton's podcast or something like that, and they might have a connection there or something like that. I haven't dove too much into it, but that was my surface level understanding.
Oh. Say that again. James' mic on, Mark?
Yeah, let me get his mic back on. Sorry, he teased in the middle of the break. I forgot to turn it back on. Sorry, James. Didn't mean to mute you there.
It's all good, but I think that's wishful thinking.
Halliburton has a podcast?
I think so.
I was unaware.
Or is it his? Does he have a podcast company or something?
I always thought it was LeBron's podcast, and that was the one that Halliburton went on. With Steve Nash, right?
Yeah. Mind the game.
Got it. Okay. Well, I guess in today's world climate of sports, you connect the podcast tea leaves there. How would the Pacers even make that work?
They won't. So there's that.
Sorry. I guess, hey, as long as people click, right?
I'll take some summer fodder, though.
I'm just making sure we don't, get people's hopes up too much here. Also, I think that's an interesting case study question because I did see some of the Twitter discourse about this. So I'll ask you guys this. Would you welcome the player you hate the most joining your team if that resulted in your team winning the championship?
Yes.
Hell no.
Yes. And any fan that says they wouldn't are idiots. Mark, you're an idiot if you
I think it's interesting.
If you would not accept a Super Bowl title with Aaron Rodgers.
No, Aaron Rodgers' old ass is getting me one before Caleb Williams.
No, I'm just saying, if it let's just in his prime, Aaron Rodgers, he's been cooking the Bears. He leaves Green Bay. He comes to Chicago and wins you a championship. Would you welcome him? Like, would you say, you know what, bring him here because he's that great? Let's not act like Aaron Rodgers isn't a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Vikings fans are booing.
Would you be against that?
God, I'm sick to my stomach even considering.
Deep down, Vikings fans weren't booing Brett Favre when they were making their run, were they?
What the hell is Brett Favre doing here?
Sending some pictures inappropriately, usually.
That's what I'm saying.
So
you're saying immediately yes.
How long has it been since we've seen a quarterback grace the side of Lucas Oil Stadium?
It's got to be Andrew Luck. I was trying to do digging, and it looks like they've started doing that since 2008, but I don't recall it. I don't recall seeing an Andrew Luck one up there, but I also probably wasn't paying a ton of attention.
Okay, so let's just say it's been 7 years, right? You don't think, maybe a hated quarterback for Colts fans has had success in that 7-year cycle? Was there not a Tom Brady Super Bowl in a city that was not New England? Yes. You would take it. It's about team, not me.
Ugh.
I mean, seriously, but Favre to the Vikings, is that the closest thing? I mean, you think about NFC North. I mean, that's probably one of the closest things we've gotten. Like, MJ Wizard, Never, like, LeBron going to other stops in the NBA. I mean, Cleveland.
Was
Miami,
Donovan McNabb
LA.
hated in Washington when he went to the Redskins at the time?
Yeah, but were they good with him?
They're okay. But I'm just saying, like, you probably grew up as a Washington fan, hated him in Philly.
I mean, Favre and the Vikings got right there.
Yeah.
They got right to the doorstep.
I think it's interesting. Put the poll out there, Mark.
See, Mark knows deep down.
I don't.
Would you sign LeBron
I hate
if it means he brings you your first championship in franchise history? Or do you hate him too much to even consider it?
I think I hate Aaron Rodgers way too much to consider it. I honestly do.
I would
hate
say
that man.
this, like, I am, if you want to play out this Pacers hypothetical, so LeBron starts, Aaron Nesmith comes off the bench, I guess. Would I say this in all seriousness, would the Pacers be that much better with LeBron? I mean, don't we worry about the Pacers defensively?
Yeah, but he'd be an upgrade to whatever you have.
Isn't that the issue with the Lakers? Like, Tyrese Halliburton and Luka Doncic are probably pretty comparable defensively. Like, why wasn't it just foolproof for the Lakers.
Well, I think the Pacers have a much better infrastructure around their star player.
So you think the Pacers win a title instantly with LeBron?
I think they'd be the best team in the Eastern Conference. Well, right up there with the Knicks. Yes. They can get to the finals with LeBron again. But I think it's a moot point because to come here, he'd probably have to sign for the vet minimum, and he ain't doing that.
Yeah, maybe I should read the story in the break. So is there any substance in the story, or is there just he's appearing on Halliburton's podcast? Or Halliburton's appearing on his podcast? I guess I should get my ducks in the order.
Yeah, I would have to read further about it. But here it is from one of our listeners texts in and says, it's not Halliburton's podcast, it's LeBron's podcast, and he's co-hosting at Fanatics Fan Fest with LeBron. Pacers would have to trade Quentin Jackson for Bronny, and it would open enough space for them to sign LeBron on a vet minimum. That's all Golden said.
So LeBron is really going to play for the vet minimum?
He ain't playing for the vet minimum. That's why I said it's a moot point. He might not get a max contract from another team, even though he could still demand one. But, nah, he ain't doing that.
Yeah, Charlie saying Bulls fans are an example. They hated Rodman until he became a member of the team. Yeah, I mean, Rodman...
That's actually a very good example.
Right, but I mean, Rodman is still role player E. I mean...
Yeah, but I mean, the dude tried to kill your best player for half a decade.
Yeah. I think it helps when they had won before Rodman got there.
That's true. That is true. That's fair.
When you're kind of lingering here, I mean, again, Colts fans, you wouldn't have taken a Tom Brady Super Bowl. The Colts had chances to make quarterback moves, right?
Yeah.
But
I think that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
When you haven't won at all, ever, does it matter who gets you there? Probably not, I would think. But also, I didn't grow up as a diehard Indiana Pacers fan, so I can't speak for them.
I also think the hatred of LeBron is interesting. Like, to me, it's probably largely just rooted in, like, he beat your team, right? Like, it's not super... Like, again, to me with Brady, we got in this debate, James, I remember back in the playoffs.
Well, you cheated as part of it.
Right. When it was the debate of that, it was the fact that New England, and like Belichick, for example, he's a pretty, like, hateable character. Like, he's just gruff and short. And again, there's a cheating allegation. Whereas, like, I mean, by all accounts, LeBron and Tyrese Halliburton are pretty close, right? LeBron, I think, has pretty much always been complimentary about Indiana and the atmosphere he's experienced here and et cetera, et cetera. I get when a player is on the team that frequently sends you home that naturally you're going to have hatred. That's very healthy. That's sports. I got no issue with that whatsoever. But I guess what I'm saying is there's more hateable athletes, for example.
That's true.
Like, I probably hate Ben Wallace more than I would hate LeBron.
Yeah. But I think also he's an easy target.
Like Rodman. I mean, you mentioned, like, try to injure your own player or something along those lines.
But I think most sports hatred comes from this player just kicked my you-know-what for so long. I think that's why Mark hates Aaron Rodgers to that degree.
I'm just laughing. The confetti falling on Aaron Rodgers and the Bears celebrating a Super Bowl, and Mark's just pout face.
Oh, just a disgusting consideration.
Just not even enjoyed it.
This is like worse than him having some of that Vegemite last week.
I was cheering for the Patriots. I didn't want to see my Bears win.
Might have rescinded my fandom.
Aaron Rodgers, this one's for you, Hammond.
Yeah, but to be clear,
his discount double check.
Mark can't even enjoy it.
You were asking, like, would he start and all that? Yes, he would start, and Jarris Walker that's why I look at it
start for Neesmith or Nemhard?
He'd start probably for Neesmith. Let Andrew Nemhard do more of the playmaking and let LeBron just roam. But even then, last year he averaged 21, 7, and 6. Those will be the best numbers for 99% of the NBA for their careers. So as old as he is, he's still, as you can see, a hot commodity.
So the thought is he's going to announce his destination at Fanatics Fest. Is that what I'm hearing with all this?
No, I'm not hearing that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if anybody knows when he's going to announce it.
Got it.
He's kind of just chilling.
But Shams has mentioned, you were saying earlier, Cleveland.
Yeah, it sounds like Cleveland, Miami, and Philly.
He has apparently said that he would play for the vet minimum. Now, whether or not that's true, he stated that.
Actions.
Does Bronny have to come, though? Is Bronny a package deal?
Not NFL. The NBA PA would be like, you ain't playing for the vet minimum. you're an all-star.
Didn't Brady play for something relatively?
He always manipulated his contracts so the Patriots had and
Not
the
a
Bucks had
minimum
more.
contract. I don't think he's ever done that.
No, but he took much less than he could have.
Yeah. Like LeBron still can play for $20 million. Like, let's not act like he's gonna go out there and play for $6 million.
Yeah, I mean, what? TJ McConnell's making 12 a year.
Yeah, I mean, come on now.
Something like that. All right, we'll do it one final time. Fan Morning Show here on a Wednesday.
This is the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen and James Boyd.
Mark, I could have sworn I saw Jake Query here at like 8:30 this morning.
He was just in my studio talking to me.
Like, was he here that early?
Yeah, he was standing over me like a hawk on my shoulder.
Man. It's quite the start of the day for him. That's a bit unusual. We could get an interesting Jake Query here coming up from 10 to 1. Okay, SB Best Player of the Year. Caleb Williams, 4th down, game-tying touchdown.
Best player or best play?
Play. Braylon Mullins, buzzer beater, sends UConn to the Final Four. Megan Keller, golden goal, U.S. Women's Olympic Hockey. OG Anunoby, NBA Finals tip-in. Jack Hughes, golden goal, U.S. Men's Olympic Hockey.
I might be rolling with the OG tip. The tip-in was to complete the largest comeback in NBA Finals history. An incredible play. Can't go wrong here, obviously, but that's my pick.
Yeah, I always feel like Olympic and I guess World Cup pressure to me, it's just different. You get the every 4-year cycle to it, so well, you imagine the uproar if you pick the women's but don't pick the men's, or pick the men's but don't pick the women's.
Oh boy,
we're gonna have to go co-ESPYs there. So they might just say, screw it, we'll just pick Anunoby so we don't have to deal with that.
I think Anunoby's going to win.
But if we're talking about just play in a vacuum, what was the craziest play to happen? It is the Bears play with Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no way that doesn't even work in Madden, and it worked in real life.
Running 30 yards backwards with your back to the end zone and then just throwing a Hail Mary.
I miss football season. I can't wait. I'm always like, man, it's a lot of work when we get back into the season, but I do miss it.
I think I had a stroke during that play.
Yeah, the drama was pretty high. I want to experience that, man. That's why, selfishly, I'm like, the Colts got to get it together. I want to walk into a stadium and be like, you know what I'm writing today is do or die, baby.
Well, I told you, when Argentina, I guess Argentina's had like 3 of these matches in the World Cup, but when they had the Egypt comeback, Egypt had them down 2-0 with 80 minutes to go.
Crazy.
They scored 3 goals in 12 minutes. I sat there watching it and said, I want to feel that.
Yeah.
I haven't felt that. Maybe ever. In my 36 years on this earth. Were you here at 8:30 this morning, Jake Query?
I'm a broadcast professional, Kevin.
Wow.
Get here to
I got nervous. I was like, oh
get here to
boy.
prepare things, write them out. I was here early enough, but unfortunately walked in late enough that all I heard was, I want to feel that. I've never felt that.
No,
stop. So I'm going to turn around and
here he goes.
Walk back out.
8:30.
Yes.
What were you doing here? I was nervous. HR was making a call to you.
No, again, we've got a race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway coming up next week. That means more episodes of Beyond the Bricks. So we were doing some prep work for that.
Michael McDowell tomorrow, Mark. Is that correct?
So it sounds like, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize, Jake, he won, a couple years ago now, and he had an IndyCar background. For a while there,
Correct.
I thought he was going to be an IndyCar.
Correct. Did have an IndyCar background. I think he won on the road course, didn't he?
Yeah. I think 2023, I believe. So, yeah, Brickyard is next. And this is what, year 2 that we're back on the oval?
That's correct, yes. Next weekend, obviously. This weekend, Nashville for IndyCar. I heard you mentioning earlier, and you're correct. It's going to be kind of a flurry here the next 5 or 6 weeks, right?
Gosh, no joke. Are you going to D.C. for that thing?
I am broadcasting the D.C. race, but I am one of them that is broadcasting it from here, remotely.
Boy, I'll be curious to see the setup and all that. And it sounds like a one-off based off what they were saying earlier this week.
Correct. And the security is going to be, from our standpoint, I mean, I can't speak, for fans because the tickets have already been distributed, but for understandable reasons, that from the areas that the broadcasters are going to be, I think security is going to be pretty tight. So,
you an ESPYs guy at all?
I think it's the dumbest thing in the history of sport.
Oh, my God.
Dang, for real?
Wow.
And the ESPY for best Major League Baseball team goes to, wait for it, the one that won the World Series. Okay, yeah, we already figured this out, didn't we? Yeah, it's...
Well, that's not even one of the categories.
Best team. Who wins? It's the dumbest thing. And
Dang,
don't they usually air it like 6 weeks after they actually did it?
That is true, yeah. I don't think that it's like a live event.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, aren't the award shows like a couple hours before it?
Yeah.
You can't tell me they've already taped the ESPYs. I mean, I'm sure they tape it at like 5 o'clock today.
No,
and air it live
honestly, I think that doesn't the ESPYs usually from like a week before?
Well, everybody
It says it's live tonight.
Everybody was at Taylor Swift's wedding.
Okay, well. No, I think the ESPYs is the dumbest. Yesterday we did most played out things, which is probably as played out as the ESPYs, but I think the ESPYs are the most played out thing in sports.
Well, there you go. That'll get you set from 10 to 1 today. It's a busy day in sports. 3 o'clock World Cup semifinal. Pacers Summer League action. Fever back inside of their own building coming up 8 o'clock tonight. Mark, safe travels. We'll see you next week.